Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Rugby World Cup 2023. This one, Ireland taking on Tonga as a part of Pool B, which at the moment seems like it is going to be a highly contested group. Looking through at how it sits currently, that is the other side of the draw. But first of all, Pool C, Wales just getting themselves the victory over the Portuguese, so they do sit on the 10 points. Australia sitting on 5. Those two sides will be playing off next week. Japan and Samoa both sitting on the 5 points. Japan playing England tomorrow. Both sides having the win already in their Rugby World Cup. Looking at Pool B, Ireland sitting at the top of the bunch. They are on 5 points with a points differential of plus 74. That is due to the absolutely huge score that they got for themselves up against Romania. In round number 1, the Springboks, they have got themselves the win over Scotland by 15 points. They are sitting on 4. They will be playing Romania tomorrow, which is another game we are covering on the channel. For Pool A, currently it is New Zealand and France. New Zealand and France. New Zealand actually overtaken Italy, but this was taken before that did occur. Looking through at the other results that we have already seen for this round. As you can see there, New Zealand getting themselves the victory over Uruguay. That's a lie. It was Namibia, 71 points to 3, 27 points to 12. The French getting the win over Uruguay. Samoa just getting themselves the victory over Chile recently, even though Chile were able to score the first try of that match. And then Wales, they did just have their win over the Portuguese. 3 games back-to-back tomorrow, all being covered on the channel as well, I should mention. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Looking through at this Irish starting lineup, and boy, have they gone strong for this game up against Tonga. It will be Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and Tyke Furlong as the front row. Tyke Byrne and James Ryan. Now, Byrne managed to get himself 2 tries last week, playing at number 6. Oh, in fact, he was actually in the lock and duo last week due to Peter O'Mahony, or am I confusing Peter O'Mahony? He might have been number 8, and actually they went with Tyke Byrne at number 6 for the last game. But Peter O'Mahony, another player who managed to get himself 2 tries. Josh Van den Flower back into the starting side after coming off the bench in the last match. And then Caelan Doris there at number 8. Connor Murray and Johnny Sexton. A brave call from the Irish to go with Sexton in this game, seeing as they do have that big match up against the Box just around the corner. But I guess the question mark is, if the Irish win this game, do they play Sexton in that Springbok game, or do they leave something up their sleeve that no one would have predicted and have Sexton rested for that game? Bundy Aki, he got himself the 2 tries alongside also Johnny Sexton in that Romanian game. Gary Ringrose at number 13, James Lowe, Mac Hansen, and Hugo Keenan will be the back 3. Looking there at the chat, Hamish, will you be covering the Japan-England match? We certainly will be. We are doing all 3 of the games tomorrow, the first of which South Africa versus Romania. Then from there, it is going to be the exciting matchup between Fiji and Australia, a hugely important game, and then England versus Japan to close it out for the weekend. Looking through at the side for Tonga. This is their first game of the Rugby World Cup. They did have a bye in round number 1. They have been playing in the Pacific Nations Cup as well as a 2-match series up against the Canadians more recently, but it is Sage-Fred Fisiahui at number 1, Paula Naumu at number 2, and Ben Tamefuna at number 3, Sam Lausi, and also Haleva Fafita in the lock and duo. And it will be a Halefanua at number 6, Sione Havili Talatui, who is a brilliant player for the Crusaders throughout Super Rugby Pacific, and Vaya Fafita, a man who we've seen play for the Hurricanes. We've seen him play for the Wasps. We've also seen him play for the All Blacks, now getting to take to the Rugby World Cup as a Tongan player. Pulu at number 9 with William Havili coming at number 10, Peter Aki in the midfield. So it's Peter versus Bundy in the Aki department for the inside centre. Malakai Fekatoa on his outside at 13. Solomon Ikata, it is going to be out on the other wing. Afusipa Taumapo and number 15, Charles Piatau to close out this Tongan starting lineup. We have got Go Kings. For Tonga, says Octodad, and finally the match is starting. Will be a good game. Fiji versus Australia will be a fantastic game, says Patricia. Hi, all and Hamish, says Robert, welcome in. And how much chance does Irish have of lifting the World Cup? I think they are the dark horse, says Coding. Well, they are currently ranked number 1 in the world in the rugby rankings. The big thing for Ireland here, though, I've said it at the start of this World Cup. I've said it a few months ago as well. If there was ever a time for Ireland to be able to win a World Cup, it is this one in France. Because the form that they've had going into this World Cup is almost unheard of for an Irish side. They won the Six Nations. They were able to get themselves that New Zealand tour win. They've also pulled off a few other big upsets over the last 2 years or so, currently on a 10-match winning streak. In fact, I believe it's up to about 13 or 14 now. So if Tonga can somehow halt that momentum, of course, that would throw a bit of a spanner in the works, but more than likely, Ireland could end up heading into that game next week up against the Springboks, undefeated from their past few games. It's going to be a very entertaining one. We have got another huge upset, says Repent, and no surprises that all the top teams won, says George. In the chat as well, is he playing? Says Gareth. Unfortunately, he has been injured for quite some time, Israel Folau, so keeps on getting injured in the important moments, so he will not be there for the Tongans in this game. Looking through at the benches for this game, Hearing, Kilcoyne and Finlay Bilham as the forward front row replacements, Ian Henderson and Ryan Beard, the other two forwards, and then Craig Casey, Ross Byrne and Robbie Henshaw at number 23 for the Tongans. It is Sam Molly. Then it is also going to be Kalamatangi at number 17 and Sosefo Apakatoa at number 18. Paia at 19 with Solomoni Funaki, as well as they have gone with Vailanu at 21. So a 6-2 split here for the Tongans. Sonatane Takarua at number 22 and Finian Nisi to close out this Tongan side for this match. And they are just showing there Charles Piatel warming up in the background. I'm wondering whether or not it is raining there. It does look like there might be a little bit of moisture in the air, which could play into the Tongans' favour. The reason I say that is because we saw Samoa push the Island boys because of the way that they were able to use those wet conditions. Just looking at the Tongan 16-23, they're huge, says Jimbo. And Ireland picked a very strong side. I really hope no injuries for the Springbok game, says George there. I'm looking forward to a high-scoring all-out attack game from both sides. Come on, Ireland, says M. Let's hope it's a close game. Tonga can score tries with the players they have, but not strong enough. Ireland by 20. And the Fiji boys and Tongan boys, the future of rugby. I mean, in the Pacific Nations Cup, we've certainly seen some brilliant performances throughout them. You've got to chuck in, of course, the Samoan boys in there as well, recently getting themselves the win over the Chileans. But I really do enjoy what Moana Pacifica, as well as the Fijian draw, have been able to add to the Super Rugby Pacific competition. I feel like it's been absolutely brilliant seeing those sides grow over the last year and a half. And Wales had a decent 15, or half decent 15 and a couple reasonable subs. But after that, they are very average, says Saturday Player. Much love from Korea, man, says Scott. So welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing very well. Moisty Games says okay. So yeah, we'll be very interested to see whether or not we are going to see a wet weather game compared to last week, which was just completely different with the amount of heat that was around. I believe it's still going to be around that mid-20s for this contest. Whatever anyone says, Wales are just simply an awful team. Needed a last-minute try to get a bonus point. They were predicted to win by 29 points. Didn't even get close, says Connor Cahill. And there's, how many did they win by? I think it was by 20 in the end, wasn't it? But at the end of the day, I know that it sounds, I guess, maybe I'm praising Wales too much, but you look at where they're sitting. 10 points. They've got the maximum amount of points that they could have got from their 2 games. So even though, yes, they may not have been playing the best rugby, it's a little bit similar to England. Yes, they didn't win that game up against Argentina in a fashion that a lot of people wanted to see. They got the 4 points on the board, and that is all that matters at this stage of the competition. You can play your flashy, fancy rugby. You can find the about 99 out of 100% performance when you get to those playoff games. But until then, it's just about being in the top 2. And Wales have been able to do that by getting themselves victories. 2 wins from 2, 5 points on the board for both of their games. No matter how late they've scored them, they've still got there for the Welsh. And Australia could find themselves in the same boat here. If they manage to get the win over Fiji, that will help boost them up that little bit further. And then that would mean that Fiji more than likely will be missing out. On the next stage, we have got there hoping for a good open running game. Tonight, performance of the Lucies are going to be interesting, I think, says Gary Smith. And we have what's got there Samoa, or if Samoa is Manu, what's Tonga? It is Ikale Tahi for the Tongans. I hope that I've said that correctly, but that is kind of the nickname or the name given to the Tongan rugby side. And we have got there, I love Portugal, says Yvonne. Dry and greasy, says Jimbo. And if Fiji beats Australia, it can come down to the bonus points, says George. And that is something that Fiji have been able to get quite a few of throughout this game, or throughout this Rugby World Cup group stage already, because we did get to see them walk away with 2 in their game up against Wales. And Ireland win by 28 points, says Regan there. And also we have got in the chat as well, Not to me, they aren't. They're lucky with who they've got in the pool. If they had South Africa or New Zealand, that would have been a very different story. Says Connor Cahill about the Welsh. But that's the thing. They don't. The group that they are in is the group that they have, and that is the group that they got to work with. It's all well and good us saying what could have happened if they put the Springboks in there. What could have happened if the All Blacks were in that group with them. But they're just going with what they've been given. Similar to that first game up against the Fijians. They went into that game. They probably didn't expect to give away 17 penalties. They wouldn't have expected to only end up with 1 yellow card from it. But it's what happened. You work with what you're given in a game of rugby. There's a lot of what-ifs that you can look at, but you got to look at the absolutes and what is happening in the games that you are a part of. How's it, guys? Says Aiden. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. It depends on Conor Murray's performance today. He may start the box next week. He's better than Jamison Gibson Park in a physical game, says M. And there as well. But yeah, it's similar to England. They haven't scored a try in this Rugby World Cup as of yet. But at the end of the day, they got themselves their first win. If they walk away with all wins from the group stage, as ugly as it may be, they're through to that next stage in the competition. I love Portugal too, says Jacqueline. And the chat, but looking through at Ireland's most previous 4 fixtures, their last game was up against the Romanians in the Rugby World Cup, where of course they managed to get themselves a strong victory, 82 points to 8 in favour of the men in green. Then from there, before that, 2 weeks ago, they did have their game up against Samoa, and it went down to the absolute wire in that contest, 13 points to 17. They did extremely well to close out that game, as it could have been the end of that winning streak just before a Rugby World Cup as well, which certainly wouldn't have been what they wanted. But the 2 games before that, playing against 2 teams in the Six Nations, the Italians and also the English for Tonga. They have been a part of the Pacific Nations Cup. As you can see, didn't quite get themselves a victory throughout that competition, but had a solid performance up against the Japanese, and then they won both of their 2 games up against Canada. They scored an extra try in that second game, but the same can be said about the Canadians after being left tryless in their first game on the 10th of August. And in the chat, we have got there, really looking forward to this game. Tonga must start well, keep their discipline. And also we have got there, we want the quick ball away from the bok pack. Park will start, says Jimbo, and Tonga to surprise Ireland today, says Donovan. And also we have got there, that's very fair, Hamish. Just by watching them, you can see there are clearly weaknesses that other teams can exploit. You see anyone else really stand out other than Jack Morgan at this point? I thought that in that last game, Talupe Faletau was absolutely brilliant for Wales off the back of the scrum, as well as being physical. I thought that Christ Chinza offers something different in that 4-pack for the Welsh as well, and I believe he's almost got himself a spot in that locking duo, probably alongside Adam Beard, who did have a decent performance off the bench. That backline-wise for the Welsh, I think they just need to find the right combination, because Dan Bigger, if he's going to be as angry as he was in that last game, but if he plays as well as he did in that game, he will be a solid option. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what the Welsh do go with heading forward. We have got there in the chat, I'm looking forward to Saturday Rugby, CCC, and Ireland will have their hands full tonight. I don't think they're at their best though, the Irish, says Francois. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these players do go in this game, because they have stuck with a very similar lineup to what they did have in the last fixture up against Romania, having all 4 of their try scorers who got 2 in the last game. And I finally got myself sorted and ready for the action. Looking good there, Hamish. My head tells me the Irish, my heart says Tonga, says Roof. And Tonga 25, Ireland 20, come on Tonga, says George. And Ireland may struggle in this game today. Tonga will not go away lightly, says Claus. And we know that there's going to be some big hits being put in by this Tongan side. It's going to be very interesting to see how long they can keep that intensity up for Ireland. Going to have to perform better than expected. Overrated or underrated, says M there. And also we have got there in the chat as well. Notice that you also seem to join in on most programs. Which Curry Cup team do you support, says Gary. And hopefully we will be able to cover some of the Curry Cup for next year. I know that we only got maybe a couple games in for this year's, unfortunately. Chiefs thumped our key. Just managed to find time to watch the highlights, says Peter Wild. And I'll be watching Ireland and sizing them up against the Springboks. Go Tonga, says CC. And Ireland's winning streak will be under serious threat against the Springboks, says Morley Lagrange. And skill-wise, Ireland will dominate, but physicality, not too sure, says George. Although Ireland definitely no mugs when it comes to bringing physical nature to that loose forward trio. Peter O'Mahony, we know that he'll get up from anything that he gets hit by. Someone could chuck a car at him and he'd be like, yeah, unlucky, mate. I'm back, ready for the next breakdown. Josh Van den Flower, a brilliant player, quite elusive in the way that he plays. And then Caelan Doris, that man seems to just keep on growing. Like, I feel like he's a teenager and he's had another growth spurt. You know, when you have that, like, sibling, or not your sibling, but like that cousin, that every time you go to a family gathering, even if it's like 3 months apart, all of a sudden they're 6'8", and you're like, well, you were like 5'2" last time I saw you. That is Caelan Doris at the moment. Upset is on, come on Tonga, says Zion, and thanks for the broadcast to you guys now. Smoke break, says Aiden, Ireland always have huge hearts, smaller brains, unfortunately, I love watching them play, says Peter Wild. And have me deep heat and bandages ready and get ready for some big hits. Ireland should win, says Francois. But for anyone wondering what is going on from here in terms of for both of these sides heading forward in this Rugby World Cup competition, for the Tongans, this is their first game of the Rugby World Cup, so they will be playing Scotland next week. Then they have got South Africa the week after, and then Tonga versus Romania to close out their Rugby World Cup campaign. And that game could be relatively close, depending on how the two sides progress throughout the rest of the group stage. For the Irish, they have got themselves a big game next week up against the Springboks. That is going to be Sunday morning New Zealand time. We are covering that one on the channel, so if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, they have got a Six Nations rematch taking place 2 weeks after that. They've got the rest week in between, and then they are straight into the action up against the Scottish, and what should also be a very entertaining game. I believe overall the Irish have had, if I'm not wrong, other than maybe their game up against the Romanians, every other game is that later start for the Irish. 23 degrees Celsius, 10 kilometres of wind, so not a huge amount of wind movement taking place throughout this game. We see the big Tongans, Bentame Funa, not many bigger in the world of rugby than that man. And Irish have to be alert. Tonga are quick, says Roof, and living up to his name with a wild comment, says M there. And also Ireland learned from the 2019 Japan catastrophe. They'll go full strength, says Yvonne. And how many times can you say Tonga in this match between Ireland and Tonga? Go Tonga, Tonga, says it was there from John and I, Hamish. Ireland 40, Tonga 6. What are the chances of the ABs getting into the big games? Who do you think we will play in the quarterfinals? At the moment, it is shaping up as if it's going to be either Ireland or South Africa. I know a lot of people have been saying South Africa more, but I think that may be just because we've got a few more South African viewers than we do Irish. But either way, New Zealand will not look at that game as an easy task. But first of all, of course, they have to get past Italy in their group stage match. And that will be the big important one for them. I believe that this game next week between South Africa and Ireland is going to be all about, I guess, trying to get the foot or get yourself on the front foot up against one of the big rivals in the world of rugby. We Springbok fans back in Tonga tonight, says George. See, it's interesting, isn't it? I would have actually thought, when you think deep down about it, I would have thought you'd want Ireland to win so that the Springboks, if they play Ireland next week, can be the side to break that winning streak, rather than having Tonga break it and then you be a part of the losing streak that Ireland have got. If South Africa were to win, I thought that South Africa, their competitive nature, would have actually said, we want Ireland going into this game on about a 14-match win streak so that we can crush it. But it does seem that a lot more South Africans want to see Tonga do well in this game so that they can face a wounded Ireland rather than the best Ireland that they could possibly have. Just a little interpretation I've found from watching this. After listening to you pronounce the Tonga players, I understand why you do so well pronouncing the Springbok names, says CC. And Ireland going to be 17 games unbeaten coming into the quarterfinal, says Em, and haven't been able to check out the Welsh game. I hope they weren't too bad. I'm 100% Irish, but born in South Africa, it's difficult. And good point, Amish, says George. And also, I think it'll be tactical, who we play in the next pool, says Di. And George, having great South Africa teams, playing our club teams, has made rugby better, says Jimbo. And also the Tongan flags there from Gareth, only 23 degrees Celsius. That would be nice. It's always 35 to 40 degrees here. Hot yesterday, hot today, and will be hot tomorrow, says Peter. And I'm sure that a lot of the players are extremely happy that they don't have to deal with the heat wave that they are currently, or that they did have in the first round. The Irish must not underestimate Tonga, and I think that's why they've gone with a relatively strong lineup. In fact, probably the strongest lineup that they could go with in this case. They didn't want to underestimate the Tongans. They wanted to show respect to their side and say, we know that you guys could push us, so we have to make sure that we've got the best side physically possible. We have got there, I reckon we are going to have some surprises coming up. Good interpretation, Hamish. We've lost marks already. South Africa versus Ireland will be a cracker either way, says Francois. And what's your prediction, Hamish? Says Ruth, in my lineup prediction, or sorry, not my lineup prediction, but my overall prediction, the original one that we did before the teams were announced, it is currently loading, but it is just around the corner from being there. They're missing James Gibson Park, so it's not the strongest side, says Em, although I think Conor Murray will be able to offer quite a bit alongside Johnny Sexton. I feel like that's a combination that a lot of Irish fans want to see firing as well, not just Jameson Gibson Park and Sexton, have that little bit of a backup option just in case there are injuries. We're seeing now for the Springboks in terms of Malcolm Marks being out, now there's that big gap, so you want to be able to fill that gap with another player who is just as in form. And as a South African, I had the opportunity to meet a few Irish exchange students in my school, so I say go Ireland, says Starboy, and Tonga just needs to do their best to prevent an Irish bonus point from a South African perspective, says John Odendale. And also we have got there, Tonga need to check the yellow and red cards, says Andre. I think they're a little bit unlucky though, because overall, yes, they've given away a few cards, but it's not actually that much more than a few of the other sides around the world. Yes, repeat infringements in this case might be what they end up with the cards for, but I think the discipline won't be terrible in this game. It won't be like the Samoa versus Chile game. That one had plenty of yellow cards, I think about 6 in the end for that matchup. But for this game, I have a prediction of 46 points to 15 in favour of the Irish. That is what I went with originally before seeing the sides. Their 67th game together at 9 and 10, says Jimbo. Exactly right. So people still, I guess, underestimate that combo just a little bit, but it's a good one, and it does work relatively well. But as a neutral, I always back the underdog, says George. Okay. Just looking at the bench for Ireland and that starting lineup, I think both benches are going to play a huge factor in the way that this match goes. And there's a lot of bias to Southern Hemisphere. Ireland is a better team. They are showing respect to their opponents, says Patricia Black. And there as well, yeah. And I think it's when you underestimate teams from the Northern Hemisphere that these Southern Hemisphere sides do get caught out. We saw that for New Zealand. They've learnt that quite a bit recently with the amount of losses that they've had to the Northern Hemisphere teams. But it's all about knowing that any of these sides at the top level can beat any of the other sides around. And that is what makes the world of rugby so exciting at the moment. The fact that it's not a one-horse race. It's not even a four-horse race. There's about 6 sides that could win this Rugby World Cup. And I'm hoping that it is going to be a great competition all the way throughout. Four injuries plus a card. Says Paul, who are the 4 that you think are going to end up injured? Out of curiosity. I think the last thing that Ireland want to lose at this stage is, of course, Johnny Sexton. He's that first guy. Eat your veg, Hamish, get some carrot sticks, lad. Says Francois, I had a bit of grated carrot yesterday, if that counts. It wasn't quite in stick form, but having carrot sticks in a wrap wouldn't quite make it too easy to wrap, I don't think. And thanks, says Ivan. And Ireland is good, no doubt about it. And my man is hydrated on air, says Scott. And who is the heavier pack of the two? Tonga? I believe so. Ben Tamefuna, he gets the numbers up quite a bit more. But then say that Tyke Furlong and Andrew Porter, they're both very solid boys. And my brain says Ireland, my heart says Tonga. Says Gary, after watching Wales versus Fiji, I hope the ref does better in this game. Wales were lucky to take that game, says CC. But yeah, I think the big thing that rugby fans are asking for at the moment from the referees is just consistency. And we didn't get that throughout the first round of the Rugby World Cup. We haven't had that in the second round of the Rugby World Cup as of yet. Decisions going different ways depending on who's receiving the penalty. Consistency, exactly what everyone wants. But looking at the odds for this game, as you can see, both of the winners of those 2 first games were heavy favourites. Ireland come in as $1.01 favourites here. Tonga, they are sitting as $16 underdogs. But that just pretty much says that yes, it is very unlikely for them to win. But that does not say that it's impossible. I'm just going to quickly check the odds now. They are still $16, so it has stayed the same. Now, for anyone who's doing the maths, if you were to put $100 on Ireland, you would get $1 back. Now, I don't know many people who would risk that, but I don't think you'd want to in this game, to be honest, because Tonga have got the ability of causing an upset. Sexton injured, says Paul there. I showed about the ref in the Wales Fiji, get over it, says Robinson. Although it is a good point to make about the difference in the consistency of refereeing. I think that was more what they were referring to in that case. Wayne Barnes, ref, so Irish should not worry. We know which game will go, or which way the game will go, says AC. Did you wake up for a game? Are you pulling a late one, says Scott? So we have been up all throughout the night to be covering these games. This is our third match in a row that we are doing on the channel. I'm in New Zealand, but I'm currently working off a Northern Hemisphere time zone, so I'm trying my best to be able to sleep during the day, do the live streams and the videos during the night, and holding thumbs that all the respect, the quality of the game tonight. We are all passionate about the game, and I believe we will always be biased towards our national teams. And also we have got there our prop 1 is most risky position after losing Healy. Very true. They do not want to lose Andrew Porter for this game. That would be a massive hit to their confidence. Okay, then I'll go on about Wales Red in 2011 World Cup, says Robinson. I mean, you could, but there have been a lot of law changes since that World Cup in 2011. And the most recent change that they've been trying to make is speeding up the process of TMOs and also trying to be more consistent across the board. But they just haven't quite been able to hit that yet. But I can see the point that you're making about talking about recent ones. Just with the fact that it's happened in this World Cup is why more people are talking about it. Respect the dedication, mate, says Scott. And Rowlands has retired, thankfully. Has he? Has Will Rowlands retired? No, sorry, Rowlands rather than Rowlands. I was going to say, if Will Rowlands is retired, that would be very unfortunate because he had a very good game last week. And thanks, George. Caitlin is fantastic. I'm sorry I was absent, but I had to work all day for those South African men. Says, Root, no worries at all. It's absolutely awesome to have you here. Now they are currently playing the Tongan national anthem. So while they are doing so, we will show you exactly who is in that starting lineup. It is Sage Fisi Ahoy, Naumu at number 2, and Ben Tamefuna as the number 3, Sam Lausi, and also Halaleva Fafita in the lock-in duo, Halafanua at 6, Sione Havili Talatui at 7, and Vaya Fafita, the ex-All Black, he is playing at number 8, Augustine Pulu in 9 with William Havili as the 10, Peter Aki in the midfield alongside Malakai Feketoa, another ex-All Black in this Tongan side, Solomoni Kata, the dangerous man out on the left wing. It is going to be on the other side, Afusipa Taumapo, and then number 15, Charles Piatau. That is the starting lineup for Tonga in this game. Looking through at the Irish side as they play the Irish national anthem. Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and Tyke Furlong. Very strong. They are still waiting to see if Dan Sheehan will be back for this Rugby World Cup. I'm hoping to see him at some point as he is an absolutely phenomenal talent. Tyke Burns scoring 2 tries last week will take to the 4 jersey alongside James Ryan, who is there at number 5. Now I have to say Joe McCarthy, he didn't really do too much wrong last week, but just with the players that they had, means that he does miss out. Peter O'Mani at number 6, Josh Van Flair at number 7, and Caelan Doris at 8. A very formidable loose forward trio looking to assert some dominance throughout this match. Connor Murray and Johnny Sexton, the 19 combination that they have opted to go with. Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose in the midfield. Aki getting himself the 2 tries in last week's game up against Romania. Also, then James Lowe, Mac Hansen, and Hugo Keenan going to be the back 3 for the Irish. We have got there today to titillating Tongan tries to take the test towards the tail end. And also we have got the ages ago says us, and also we have got there Elaine Rollins rather than Will Rowlands. So I was going to say, if Rollins has hung up the boots, that would be a big shame. Has the Xbox announced their replacement for Marks? Not quite, I don't believe, but I think that is happening this weekend at some point. We have got the hoping for a great performance from our lads tonight. And what about the Welsh prop that got a red card in the 1987 World Cup against New Zealand? Once again, the point that I made before, they've changed the rules quite a bit since then, since 1987. So it's more based off the recent rules that they have gone off that we are looking at. And quite the Irish crowd there, good anthem, says Yvonne. And also we've got there, come on Island, says Yvonne in the chat as well. And we missed you last game, says Caitlin. And should have no yellow or red cards for this game. It spoils the physical of how rugby meant to be played, says Zion. And also I sense that at least 2 dust-ups between these 2 teams. You're legendary for putting up these streams consistently. Treat yourself after these streams, laddie, says a little giant. Yeah, we were actually looking at going out on the golf course, believe it or not, after this, but it's raining here, so it might be a bit damp for golfing, unfortunately. The Box have decided to pull in Andre Pollard, says Di in there. And also told you And also we have got there the Tongan flags in the chat. But do let me know your score predictions, ladies and gentlemen, for this matchup. At the moment, Sonatani Takalua leading the Tongans in the pre-match rituals, getting ready to go for this match. Bundy Aki steering a hole through this Tongan side, not cracking a smile, not cracking anything other than a glance straight at the front. And Bundy Aki giving the scary eye, says Yvonne. Bentame Funi stayed looking at them for a little bit longer as well there. No worries, Caitlin. Back like the Terminator, missed you too. Another day, another dollar, says Ruth. And 40-7, says Jacqueline in the chat as well. But yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated. You all being here for this match. We've got plenty more action just around the corner as well for this World Cup. Romania versus South Africa, Australia, Fiji, as well as the last game of the weekend, Japan versus England, all taking place tomorrow. We will be live for all three of them. They are just showing the Tongan side once more. They are grabbing some late drinks for making their way out onto the park. 35-15 in favour of the Irish, says Annie. And predict a tough game, but the Irish to win by 30. In Ireland, they will be wearing their away kit here in the white. What type of haka Bundy do now? Tap dance, says Gareth. And usual wish that the officials aren't the loudest, says Jimbo. 23 points to 18 in favour of Tonga, says Ocker. We've got a few people predicting a Tongan upset by the looks of it here, and Adam Coleman with the thumbs up there from Nate. And I hope Tonga will play well. And they're showing Charles Piatel his first Rugby World Cup for Tonga. Quite a few green shirts in the crowd for this game. 10% like rate. Let's get that up a bit, says Gusky. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got there, all negative comments are being noted for future retaliation, says Yvonne. And I don't like the white kit. We are the boys in green. And that's the thing, green doesn't really overlap with red, does it? But I guess it's for the colourblind side of things and also just them being in the alternative strip. It was this ref. It looks like it is Wayne Barnes in charge of this one. Yes, it is. And his assistants, it is Matthew Carley, also Craig Evans and Tom Foley in charge of this game. But we are underway, ladies and gentlemen. Tonga kicking off from left to right. And the match is now underway. Nicely taken inside of their 22 by James Ryan. And Ireland will get themselves the first touch of the day. Johnny Sexton goes across to Tyke Byrne. Managed to get himself 2 tries in the last game up against Romania alongside Aki Omani as well as Johnny Sexton. But James Lowe already going to be a penalty there against the Tongans for being offside. And now Tonga will be put on the back foot. I believe it was Vai Fafita being penalised for offside there as well. And we have got there, just for fun, let's say go Tonga, says Michael. Also, we have got there, Monty Hamish had enough sleep. I have managed to sneak a few hours in before the start of the day. I'm hoping to sleep during the day today so that I can wake up and be wide awake throughout the rest of the matches. Hamish, go put on your Tongan jersey, says Sione. I don't quite have a Tongan jersey. I have got... What have I got that's close to a Tongan jersey? To be fair, I got like a local rugby jersey, and I feel like we've got quite a few Tongans in our local side, so that could work. 10 minutes into the second half, we'll show who is going to win, says Hadrain there. And Hamish the Terminator needs no sleep. Yeah. Although last weekend, I don't know how I was still functioning after the amount of hours we were awake. But nice run forward, though. It's a knock on there from Kaylin Doris in the breakdown. And now Tonga have got themselves the ball, slinging a wide Bentame Funa. It was a flat forward pass, I believe. So they will go back now for the original one. Oh. Solomon Ikata running hard at Andrew Porter and Peter O'Mahony. Doesn't have the biggest size to him, Solomon Ikata, but certainly packs a punch. Ireland in full voice, says Yvonne. We could hear the Irish national anthem going around the ground. And bro, how much energy do you have, said Bradley? Too much, I think. I should get one of those hamster wheels just to burn the extra energy that I've got so that I can, like, power my house. That'd be quite nice. Ben Tamafuna after the loose ball off Kaylin Doris. Yep, just went forward into the hands of Sam Losey. They do have to go back for that scrum, but it was already under penalty, or sorry, knock-on advantage. Surprised with how big the Irish crowd is there tonight, says Eldon. And TFE was out, or he was off, says Audio, yeah, but it was off the forward pass on the halfway line, which is where did he end up hurting them. Tonga have got themselves about a 50 kg advantage when it comes to their 4-pack. I was going to make a joke, but I decided against it. It was going to be about Ben Tamefuna, but I know that that man would throw me across a room, probably through a wall as well. But he's a solid bloke. Now, Augustine Pulu to feed the ball in for the Tongans, and Ireland to win, says John. And I also need a spud chipper, says Eric J. And hi, I'm back, says Cool Story Bro, welcome in. That scrum, it's going to be a free kick now for Tonga after Ireland pre-engage. Now they have another decision to make. It looks like Tongan number 1, Sefre Fisiahoy, he says, I want another scrum. See how we go against these boys. It's going to be him versus Tyke Furlong. Once again, we are hearing the French national anthem being sung at the ground. We actually heard that throughout the Samoa and Chile game as well, I believe. We heard a bit of the French national anthem. Just letting everyone know that their side's sitting at the top of the table at the moment in Pool A. And perhaps the Irish could find themselves head-to-head with France in the quarterfinals. Ireland going to be taking some Tongan soup tonight, says Gareth, and hope the ref doesn't kill the game, says Hadrin. Keep high is the comment from Wayne Barnes. Nice looping play from Charles Piatau and Tonga. They are close to the touchline, but just managed to get that ball away in time. Now the big man, Halaleva Fafita. Great turnover in the breakdown, and Ireland get themselves the penalty this time. They almost didn't even need that penalty with how efficiently the ball was turned over by Caitlin Doris. Can Tonga do us all a favour and win this one? Says Nodakaza. Although I did make a comment before the game, which a couple people did agree with, and it was talking about South Africa, and I found it confusing that South Africa want the Tongans to win this game because Ireland are on a massive winning streak. So surely the Springboks want to be the side that ruin that winning streak for them, rather than it being Tonga and then South Africa part of the losing streak, so people say it doesn't mean as much. That makes sense? I would have thought that South Africans want to play Ireland when they're at their best rather than if they have just suffered a defeat. Just my take, that's all. Now, it's going to be Rob Herring. Oh, sorry, that's not his name, it's Ronan Keller. In this case, starting at number 9, James Lowe, ball off to Bundyaki. Short ball. Once again, the quick breakdowns. Only some Savers want to, not all, says John. The ruck speed is something that will certainly be looked at here. Loose ball from Ireland, but it is cleaned up on their 22-metre line. Now Murray looks to go to this left-hand side out to Bundyaki. Scored himself twice, or got himself 2 tries. In the Romanian game, Tyke Byrne, another player who managed to get the double. No one has a hat-trick yet in this Rugby World Cup, and that is a penalty to Ireland 5 minutes into the game. We've got Brother Hamish, says Justin and Tonga, says Big Noob. And also what's going to happen will happen, says Bebop. And the tackler did not release the carrier, says Kurt, but we don't like Ireland. Yeah, but I would have thought that that would make it better if you break the winning streak rather than beating them when they've already lost, if that makes sense. And yes, you are right, that doesn't make sense. We want to beat the Irish, says Jacqueline. And in a classical situation, that the enemy of your enemy is your friend, Mr. South Africa supporting Tonga, says Gary there. Now from 22 metres out, looks like Johnny Sexton will be lining up this 3 points. And nothing to do with playing them on a winning streak or not, just anyone better but Ireland, says Gareth. Commentators are just talking about the fact the reason Ireland are on such that streak that they've got is because of the players that they do put out on the field each and every week. We've got James Lowe Ireland, says Justin, and does not matter to me who wins. If South Africa is strong enough, they will win Ireland or whatever, or whoever, says Skulk. Now Sexton, he's got 10 seconds remaining. He has to line up this kick relatively soon. There's no clock behind the post as well. He needs to get a move. 3 seconds, Johnny. Johnny, you got to kick them. I think that was probably a little bit after, to be fair. The kick has gone over, but probably about a second after when you were supposed to kick it there for Johnny Sexton. There was no hooter, so that is why it's not called. I'm curious to know if that hooter would have gone off, though. Okay, Wayne Barnes said, bugger off, pretty much to Ben Tamefuna. He says, not my job, someone else's job. It was really close, is the comment we've heard from Barnes there. Now, William Havili kicking it off high. Now, Bundyaki taking it inside of the 22. Thought about kicking for a second, then decided he wanted to run it straight at Via Fafita. Now, Murray crossed to Sexton. Tyburn receives their next pass, making some good meters through the tackle attempt of Sajfre Fisiahoy. Now low back in the pocket off his left boot. We'll put it forward. Nicely taken at the back here for Charles Piatel. Steps round one defender. That was Hugo Keenan, his opposite number. Johnny Sexton, a legend. I hope he doesn't get injured in this game. Great player and tough customer, says Roof. Now 40 metres out from the line. Sajfre Fisiahoy. Ball is loose. Picked up there by Josh Van den Flair. He did come off the bench in the last game for the Irish up against Romania. Wasn't quite able to get himself a try, but was very close. Counting to 60 is tricky, says Eric. And also cherry on the cake. But I don't like cake, so yes, I want Tonga to win, says George. Now Murray. Oh, he's been played at by Sam Lausi, but he was onside. But now it is going to be the penalty. Saying about the space. My name is Sage Fred. A hardy mobster name says it was Marco. And also maybe an Irish fella is controlling the hooter, says Brian. Yeah, it's something that we don't really deal with a lot in the rugby union side of things is actually kicks taking too long. I remember we've had a couple controversial ones. I think there was one in the top 14 that no one thought was going to be called, and then when it was called, everyone was quite surprised that they were actually keeping track of it. But it's relatively tricky for the players, definitely the one taking the kick in this scenario, because there's no screen behind saying how long he's actually got. So that's up to the referee to tell him you've got 10 seconds, which I don't think we heard Wayne Barnes do. 4 penalties so far conceded against the Tongans in the first 9 minutes of this game. Now, around the side, Rob Herring. It's Ronan Keller. I keep on saying Rob Herring. I'm thinking off the last game. Connor Murray. Caelan Doris driven backwards. Pressure there in the breakdown. Not quite able to stay on his feet. There was Sione Havili Talatui. Now Murray knock on from Andrew Porter. Malakai Fekatoa thought he had a decent crack at the ball. And now Tonga have to clear their lines. It's a decent kick as well. Right in behind. Rolls into touch just outside of the 22-metre line. And Ireland now about 25 metres out from their line will have themselves the line out. Let's go Tongan Bros, says person 1. Oh, taking it quickly. Mac Hansen at the back. He's inside of the 22. Strategic from him, actually. Although, it's going to keep on curling. 50-22 from Mac Hansen. I think William Havili's trying to argue that Mac Hansen took it into his 22, but because the ball didn't go out on the full, he hasn't really got an argument there. Brilliant kick from Mac Hansen. And now Ireland have got themselves 22 metres out from the line with a line-out chance. Wake up Tonga, says Yvonne, and a hell of a good kick, says Eric J. Yeah, well spotted by Matt Hansen to see that there was no one back there to go after that option. Now Ronan Kelleher throws the ball in, nicely taken by James Ryan. Matt Hansen, legs chopped out from underneath him by Sione Havili Talatui, discipline going to let Tonga down, although they're over the ball this time. The Tongans, they've got themselves the penalty advantage. And they will get themselves the penalty. I think it was Havili as well as Paula Naumu was able to get over that ball. Stop Tyburn from being able to release. What's the weather like there, Hamish, says Kurno Wick? It doesn't look too bad. I think it was about 23 degrees Celsius with 10 kilometres of wind. So actually ideal conditions in the evening to be able to play the game of rugby. And Sexton has a few advantages like the Irish always do. Says Fleshin, and also Tonga need to relax and stop with these silly penalties. Few. Says Roof, and yeah, if they keep on going at this rate in terms of the amount of penalties they're giving away, they will have someone in the bin by the time we get to halftime. Yeah, it's actually Willie Havili getting into that breakdown to get the turnover. Tyburn did release it. Just showing here once again the Mac Hansen kick. It was almost a banana kick, the way he was able to curl it towards the touchline to get that 50-22 initially. Now Naumu. Line out on the halfway line here for Tonga. Now they didn't opt to go with Sonatane Takalua in their starting lineup, although that line out has not been successful for Tonga now. And Ireland managed to get the ball back. Connor Murray goes off to Caelan Doris. The halfway line now. Murray Back across to Sexton, Bundyaki, or Sexton almost tackled without the ball there. I don't think it was intentional. I think it just ended up that both players were in the same place, and it looks like Vaea Fafita has ended up picking up an injury from that challenge, and that is going to be pushed into touch. Tonga discipline, please, or else yellow card, says George. And PPP, pressure produces penalties, says Kurno Beck. And also Willie Hamishvili, he plays for Georgia, says RJJ. Yeah, this doesn't look good for Vaea Fafita. I know that he's only come back from an injury within the last few games for Vaea Fafita. He ended up with one throughout the Pacific Nations Cup. I believe the thing is, I don't think he intentionally hit Johnny Sexton there. I think he was going for the initial tackle, and then the sidestep he got sold the wrong way, and Sexton was looping around the back at the same time. I don't think it will be any sort of penalty for it, but I just hope this stage that Vaea Fafita is going to be all right. Good hit on Keenan. Says Ian Foster, and must say I like the 50-22 introduction to the rules, says Peter Wild. And here Portugal in their last game up against Wales, we're actually showing it very nicely. But this looks like we will have a bit of a stoppage here, ladies and gentlemen, while they do give some medical attention to Vaea Fafita. So while we are at it, we will look through at what games the Irish have got coming up in the near future. They have got themselves the matchup between the South Africans and the Irish. That is in 8 days' time. Although I believe now it is actually going to be in about 20, or not 24, in about 7 days' time is when that one will be taking place. They also have their game up against Scotland 2 weeks later. Should be a very exciting game. This is Tonga's first game in their Rugby World Cup. So they have first of all got themselves Scotland. Then the game the week after will be up against the Springboks. That is on the Monday morning. And then on Monday morning as well, it is going to be Tonga versus Romania. Still looking a little bit shaky. Vaea Fafita looks like he's going to continue the match, though. Hopefully he doesn't do anything more serious to that injury. Last thing you want is to lose a player here. You do want an upset. You want to win it, says Eric J. And also go Tonga, says Lotti. Decent kick downfield from Sexton, now 25 metres out, another line out for the Irish. They've been pretty decent at line out time, not just from their own line out, but also being able to steal that ball when Tonga do have their line out. But 78% possession throughout the first 13 minutes of this game for Ireland. And it's nicely taken by James Ryan on the 22 now. Getting driven sideways here for the Irish. Starting to straighten here. It's Ronan Kelleher. Taken down well though. Now Murray going to the short side. Johnny Sexton out to James Lowe, having to play tightrope Walker with the touchline. Tonga get the turnover, and they manage to get themselves the penalty in the breakdown as well. And my ancestors versus my team in 2 weeks, says Caitlin. It's going to be a tough game to decide who you want to go with in that one, but it's going to be a fun game. Or it's just going to be a fun World Cup, I feel. I can't believe that we are already 12 games in. In fact, that's not the right maths. 13 games in. We've covered every single one of them on the channel. We are covering every single game that is coming up on the channel as well. So anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 32,500 subscribers. So if you do want to help us get there, please do hit that subscribe button. In fact, we're on the road to 33,000. We recently hit that 500 mark. Now line out throw for the Tongans. Can you accidentally show the game on the screen, Sessione? If I accidentally showed the game on the screen, I think that the YouTube, they wouldn't be like, oh, he accidentally showed it, we'll forgive him. They would say, hey, you still get 3 months banned, unfortunately. But if you go on the Rugby World Cup website, there may be an option to be able to watch whereabouts you are in the world for free. So be sure to check that out. Oh, but yeah, looks like Vaea Fafita, his day might almost be done here. They don't want to risk him. So Malakai Fekitoa having a bit of a chat there with Halaleva Fafita. Damn, 3 months ban, not worth it. Sessione there. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already hit that subscribe button, we are currently only 80 away from 32,600. And by the time this injury stoppage is over, I think we'll almost be able to get there. Now just showing the replay once more. Vaea Fafita not looking flash at the moment, though. I feel like they have to take him off. They have actually got the extra loose forward off the bench as well. He's going to keep going. If he hurts himself more, I know that it sounds terrible to say, but he'd be his own worst enemy because they have got Vailanu off the bench as well as the option of going with Solomoni Funaki. They have cover for him. But he's trying to grit his teeth, keep on playing for a bit longer. Yeah, I've got there's that vodka. It is not. That would be a very large bottle of vodka. That is for sure. And just when you thought it was safe, says Eric J. Now, it's going to be available for Tonga. Just inside of their own half. Ireland putting pressure in the breakdown. Not able to get that ball back yet. Fafita getting back to his feet. He's slow at the moment. Doesn't look too flash. That ball's going to be there for Ronan Kelleher. Just doesn't look comfortable. At the moment, that is going to be another penalty in favour of the Tongans. Maybe he has a good personality, says Yvonne, and don't get strikes before ban is a straight red card, says George. And also we have got there, now it's tequila with peanuts and biltong, delicious. Hamish is fantastic as always. Says Roof and I are the Tiger Island. Right, Bentame Funa, or they take on the 3. I thought they were considering the corner for half a second there. I do see that we've got 685 people watching. A little bit of a shout out to the Samoans for their earlier win that they were able to get over Chile in Pool D. Breakfast for champions, says Eric there. Well, I always get good news on my birthday and the Box are playing the Irish. The Box all the way, says Ockert. It must not be too far away, about 7 days' time for yourself till your B-Day. 15.5 minutes down currently. And Willie Havili will be the man lining up this kick. Normally not a terrible kicking accuracy throughout Super Rugby Pacific competition. Does kick for Moana Pacifica. Also has a little bit of experience in the Bunnings NPC. Crowd in silence, straight down the middle, or in fact drifting a little bit further towards the right-hand side. Or the left, in fact, it was by the time it went over, but now 3 points to 3 in this matchup. How many rugby teams have the bye next week? It will be 4 teams. So the teams that do have the bye, in fact, what we can do is if we look at the fixtures that are coming up. So in Pool A, it is New Zealand. In Pool C, it is the Fijians. In Pool B, it is Romania. And then in Pool D, it is Japan. Those are the 4 teams that do not have a game next week. But these are all the times in New Zealand. Of course, there'll be a little bit of conversion that goes on if you are in the Northern Hemisphere. But every single game we are covering on the channel. So if you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, you will know exactly when we are going live. Ireland a little under pressure now. But can Tonga convert it into points, says George. I've got there as well, the Bok from Caitlin and Kiwi Lad has created a mental image of rugby for our minds. Says, cool story, bro. Currently on the halfway line for Ireland, Johnny Sexton passes off to Bundyaki, spins out of one tackle, but is dragged down just inside of the Irish half. The big box kick from Connor Murray. Oh, it's put down by Taumapo. He didn't mean to. Andrew Porter, he goes himself. Drives hard and scores the try for the Irish. He had Peter O'Mahony on his outside if he wanted to use him, but instead says, no boy, this one's mine. And Andrew Porter scores the first try of the match for the Irish. Tonga mistake inside of their own 22. Puts the ball down from Taumapo, and then from there, the Irish strike. They saw the opportunity. It was a good box kick from Connor Murray. Definitely, because that ball was then dropped. And as we there try, says Dennis, and it is Scotland versus South Africa in 2 weeks, says Caitlin now. Porter could have easily gone on his outside to Peter O'Mahony, but then he decided, nope, this one's mine. Oh, they're going upstairs. They're going upstairs. What is this for? They're checking to see if there's a knock-on from Mac Hansen, ladies and gentlemen. This might be no try for Andrew Porter. I'm sure he'll be absolutely gutted if this one is ruled out. After their try time land right. Does Mac Hansen knock this ball on? He does. He does knock that ball on. It's going to be no try. Andrew Porter will be throwing Mac Hansen out of the changing sheds and through a window at half-time after that one's disallowed. But the game will continue at 3 points apiece, ladies and gentlemen. Porter close to getting himself that first try. Bah! Says Yvonne. That's a good way of summarising what's just happened there. Looks like a knock-on. It was indeed. So Mac Hansen hit it from one hand to the other. So it's going to be a scrum feed for the Irish. And also over there, I told you, boo. Says, good story, bro, and unlucky big boy Porter. Says Blues Nate. Tamapo, having a bit of a chat about that one. And sorry about it, Ireland, says Sione. And there, but they are in a very good position on the field now, straight out in front of the post, 20 metres from the try line. Way do they want to go? I'm thinking a set play could be just around the corner here for Ireland. We know how slick their backline can be with Bundyaki probably crashing up to start it off. And like they've said, Ringrose very close on the left-hand side. Murray will be going to the left this time. Sellers the dummy, goes himself, finds the offload to Ringrose. 2 metres out, in fact, probably about 5 metres from the line. It's a knock-on from the Irish. They've made the mistake at the back, and now the Tongans trying to capitalise, but they have to knock the ball on. I wish they would get rid of the marginal knock-on rule, says Neil. And also we have Kademus Hudson. It's left me something to warm up, says Eric. And Barnes looked disappointed, says Audio there. Well, it was a good try for a prop. But, yeah, just the knock-on coming. This is now where Ireland will apply the pressure, score 2 or more tries, says Annie. Of course, if they manage to get themselves 4 tries in this game, that will give them the winning bonus point, if they do win, that is. And that would give them 5 points on the board, 10 in total for Pool B. Good pressure from Tonga. And Tonga wins this, says Hans. 19 minutes into the game. Oh, front row standing up. I think Keller may have lost his balance a little bit. Didn't feel like it was quite where he wanted to be. Now they will have themselves another scrum reset. Dry and greasy, says Jimbo. And boom, Tonga to score soon, says Ruth. Well, I think the big thing for them here will definitely be just clearing that line. They are only about 5 metres out from their own try line. We've seen how dangerous Ireland can be as well when they do counter scrum. Now, will be Augustine Pulu. Put the ball into the scrum for the Tongans. Could have been the whiskey, might have been the gin, could have been the six-packs, but look at the mess I'm in, says Peter Wild, and now Pulu will kick this one into touch. They have got it down about 25 metres out from the Tongan line. Western Cape wants to be its own country. Says, cool story, bro. And I'm off to the fridge for a beer. Can I get you one? Says, Gary, I currently got me water. So it should be all right for now. Still got about a litre left. You need some kava for breakfast, says Sione. I feel like a big breakfast would be ideal, wouldn't it? And Peter O'Mahony claiming that line out nicely. Bundyaki passes on the outside. Johnny Sexton decides to try and have a bit of a piercing run. Up the middle, inside ball, off to Kalen Doris. Now Tyke Byrne reaches, he's on the line. And Tyke Byrne this time will be the first try scorer for Ireland. They were very close to scoring just a moment ago. And now Tyke Byrne for his 3rd of the Rugby World Cup, currently the leading Irish try scorer. Hang on, they're checking for a forward pass by the sounds of it. And try, says Jimbo, and nothing beats cold water after a game. Was that double movement? No, they're not going to check this one, I don't believe. Pass from Johnny Sexton. Very flat pass. It was a nice offload from Kalen Doris to get it to Tyke Byrne. That looks all right, I believe. Need an Irish coffee. And was that double movement, says Yvonne. So he is allowed 1 movement to stretch out. Because Tyke Byrne's arms are as long as they are, he did still manage to just get there in time. Great run from Kalen Doris, breaking through the tackle attempt of Halaleva Fafita. And then from there, when Byrne was as close as he was, Tamapo's been looking in all sorts of trouble throughout this game. He's been out of position. He's been dropping the ball. And in that case, I think he slipped over his own feet to not be able to make a tackle there. So Springboks claim number 1 spot on the world rankings of Tonga win. Says Mr. Lerm, I believe that would be the case, if I'm not wrong. Maybe. It'd be close anyway. And bacon and loads of eggs, bean toast, black and white pudding with a massive cup of tea, and whatever is left over, says Aiden. And yeah, look, flat says audio. So the score now will be 10 points to 3. The Johnny Sexton conversion did go over. And now they are having the first drinks break of this contest due to the heat. And we have got there the Tongan flags from the Truth Hurts in the chat as well. Connor Murray is the starting 9 for this game. Jameson Gibson Park nowhere to be seen for this game. Clearly 4 passes a new age. By the angles that we saw, it was flat. I don't think it drifted too far forward if it did. It was definitely flat though, so it was worth a look. And I watched the replay a couple times. Yeah, the hands, they went backwards from Sexton, which was one big benefit. And Toto's best song is Africa. Do Toto have more than just one song? I don't actually know any other Toto songs. Symphonies or Sympathies, says Eric. And also we've got their Good Try Ireland. They did right. See, they are showing it from a different angle, and I feel like depending on the angle you show will depend on how forward or backwards that pass looks. We have got there, I think Ireland are starting to settle a bit now. They know that this is a must-win game. I guess it's just adjusting to those newer players into that starting lineup. The benefit they've got is their backline's relatively similar. And to be fair, the fullback is quite close to being similar too, isn't it? It's just trying to find those gaps in that Tongan defence. So it's a good try. Move on, lads. Says Dennis. We have got there, hold the line is another one. Says Mikhail. Who's the referee? Needs black lace tights and pink stilettos, spectacles and whistles. So it is Wayne Barnes in this one. And we have got there Samuel Kearns. Look after it. So on water break when they get the energy back and going. Says Padraig. Kicked into the 22. Connor Murray takes nicely and gives it off to James Lowe. Puts an acre of height on that one, but won't end up finding touch with it. So now Charles Piatel. Another chance for the Bristol Bears. He's beaten Matt Hansen twice in a row. Hugo Keenan twice in a row. Not quite being able to read those foot stepping things that Piatel did. That wasn't a sentence. I think my brain has gone to sleep. Is Moala playing? He is not. For this game, a great try over 4 Glasgow Island. Says WLK. Was ruled as flat for the Irish. Piatel just charges at the line and then from there, boom, gave her the little shimmy. That's twice now that Hugo Keenan hasn't predicted what way he's going to be going. We've got the Gareth hold the line in Durban is similar to Miami visually in places. So Durban Sharks are a case school story, bro. And also we have got there, Hamish, you peasant. Be your first song you learnt to play was 10 guitars, says Peter Wild. Don't think so. I'm trying to think of what it was. Might have been Bad Moon Rising. Have a good rest of this. Have a good rest after this, Hamish, says Andrew. And if Tonga can stay within 7 points until half time, could be interesting, says George. But now, another kicking opportunity for Havili after the penalty goes against the Irish. But this time, it's just narrowly got the distance. Now making the score 10 points to 6 in favour of the Irish. Ireland chasing gold. Hopefully they hold the Rugby World Cup. They have earned it the most. And France says Mr. Lerman, black and white, and Bon Jovi right up there. Yep. You give love a bad name relatively early on for the guitar. Johnny Sexton now to kick this one off. Only 4 points difference between these two sides. Now trying to retain their own kickoff, but up high was Vaya Fafita. Man is a walking wounded at the moment, but is still willing to stay out there on the field for as long as possible. Augustine Pulu, rush defence there from Caelan Doris. The ball was out the back, so he was able to rush up the way that he did. I honestly expected a bit of bigger spanking from the South Africans last weekend, but yeah, it's a nightmare group for Scotland as predicted, says Mr. Novel Bro. Be kicked high from Augustine Pulu. Taumapo trying to line that up, just stood there and waited and allowed Hugo Keenan to run onto it and get the ball back for the Irish. Now Tyke Furlong. Kicked him high from Connor Murray, little sneaky dink over the breakdown. Well picked up by Willie Havili, who gives it off now to Halaleva Fafita. Havili again, going to the right-hand side. It's going to be Charles Piatel off his left boot. I don't think we've seen Malakai Feketoa with the ball in hand as of yet. James Lowe, plenty of time from inside of his 22 to kick it down the field, and they're going back for the penalty against Tonga for offside. Like and subscribe, says Yvonne there. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 33,000 subscribers, so if you do want to help us out, it is hugely appreciated. You'll get notified when we upload on the YouTube channel, and there is still plenty more coming in the near future. So if you do want to help us out, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Good morning, evening, Amelia from Cold Cape Town. Says Ruth, in the 90s, the best music era. Says George, that's gone right out in the corner now for Ireland. Andy Farrell looking like an angry boy in the coaching box at the moment. Oh. So that is actually, the penalty was not for offside. It was actually for taking the kicker out. And I'd say this is possibly best match so far, says Neil. And also we have got there, how do you remember all the players' names, says Andrew. This is a good question. I think I'm just a little bit lucky in terms of, like, my memory is decent enough, and then it's just getting used to watching them play over and over and over again to try your best to remember them. Caelan Doris now at the back of the rolling ball. Connor Murray trying to search for this one, but I think Caelan Doris breaking off the back. He's over the line, and it's another try for the Irish. He gets a big hug from, I think that was Peter O'Mahony, celebrating with Doris. And poor kicker says the truth hurts. And also we have got there, I'd say this is possibly the best match so far. Go the mighty Irish, says Mr. Loom. And also we have got there, Tonga Rain and Discipline. They could win this. And also try, says Jimbo, and they score. It's 15 points to 6. It certainly is, and a kick for Sexton to come, but a nice set play off of the rolling maul rather than having the man who was landing take it into the maul. It was the man beside him. And then Caelan Norris at the back, just waiting patiently to roll over the try line, and good body rotation, dropping the shoulder to be able to put it down over the try line. We've got the Ireland going to get smashed in the quarterfinals, says the New Age. And Springboks a gentleman. You don't have to overrun a team. Winners a win, South Africa, says Goldberg. And also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so I get an alert whenever you're live. Hooking us up with some spectacular commentary, says Terence. And there as well. Yeah, hugely appreciated, mate. Just going to check. Terence, are you the same one who followed us on Instagram? Maybe? If I'm not wrong. Or was his name Terence? It might have been Terence. Gets conversion. Nice one, says LMC. Yep, the kick is successful from Johnny Sexton. Tonga could win this, says Annoy, and he's a member of the channel for 3 months. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. Yeah, being here for these games. A rolling maul somewhere. That does seem like Ireland are going to find themselves some decent success. In fact, I will expand on that and say the set play is where Ireland are going to find themselves a bit of success throughout this game. We have got there, We Will Rock You, a great rugby song, and we need that kind of play against the Bok, says Jimbo. And what's Instagram? Sounds like sorcery, says, it was there from Gareth. Is there a cure for itchy balls, says Jared Rowlands? Chop them off. I'm currently inside of the 22. It's going to be Connor Murray. We'll be looking to go for this box kick, a shout, says Session. Oh, charged down by the Tongans, still inside of their 22, Peter O'Mahony. Keeps it in the field of play, although Murray under all sorts of pressure. It is now well set, though. Ireland is looking good. Tonga is struggling with the pressure being put on them, says WLK. And I think that is down to the fact that Ireland are just so quick in the breakdown to be able to keep on moving that ball out every time it goes in. And because they're so brilliant in terms of the players that can score the tries, it's not just the backs, it's also the forwards who are marching in. Tyke Byrne getting the first try of the match. Second try, Caelan Doris. We have got there subscribed. I will be listening to your commentary throughout the World Cup, says Andrew. And yeah, we are going to be covering every game on the channel. This penalty goes the way this time of Andrew Porter for the Irish. Currently 40 metres out from their own line. We've got to go Tonga, make it hard for Ireland. Check what's in the water, says Goldberg. Currently 30 minutes into this game. Ireland with an 11-point lead, a little bit similar to what it was sitting. Same Terence with the follow on Instagram. I thought it was. You know what, you lift a lot of weights, Terence. I saw your picture. You're absolutely jacked. Like, I think you do quite a bit of lifting, much more than myself. Watching from Nairobi in Kenya, says Alvin. And Ireland on top, says Kian. And the Warriors had a big win last night, 40 points to 10. Yeah, brilliant win for the Warriors. Moving on to now face the Brisbane Broncos, I believe it is. And the semi-final going over the top for Ireland. Well cleaned up by Josh Van Flair. And now, starting to creep just a little bit closer towards the try line here for Ireland. Out to the 22. They're on the verge of maybe getting themselves another try. Ringrose. Tackled low by Ben Tamefuna. New line-out move there. Says Neil Cooper. You can hear some singing from the crowd. Hugo Keenan thought about the ball off the Bundyaki. Takes the contact instead. And because of it, does actually mean that the ball is turned over by Tonga. Malakai Feketoa, quick hands going to the left-hand side. Went to get a beer, Mr. Ireland. Second try, says Robinson. So it was scored by Caelan Doris, although that ball now being kicked out on the full by Tonga. Great shot from Via Fafita. Even though he's injured, he's still putting in an absolute shift. The ball was illegal. It was clearly blocking off, says Falk. And New Zealand, where'd that go? New Zealand don't have the quality of backs that they used to. Okay, thanks, Hamish. Says Robinson there. Now, Ronan Killer. Nicely taken by Peter O'Mahony. And the rolling ball once again set here for Ireland. And desperate hope for an upset, says Cool Story Bro in question. Is can these Irish players do it for 7 games? And there are no more games where they can rest players, says WLK. Although they do have the week's break after the first 3 games where they will have a week off and then they play Scotland in their final round, depending on how many wins they've had up till that point. Will depend on whether or not they actually need to play that top side. But I think that they will. I think that the thing that's helped Ireland throughout their last 15 or so games that they're on their winning streak for is the fact that they're going with those top players time after time, not trying to mix it up too much, just going consistency as their key. Tyke Byrne, 20 metres out from the line now. Big run from Ronan Kelleher. Another try, Ireland, says LMC. Now Johnny Sexton goes across to Bundyaki. Quick hands. Hansen's been nailed. And that shot, in fact, it was Hugo Keenan. Now Hansen stepping nicely. Going through about 4 Tongan defenders. And Hansen scores his first try of the Rugby World Cup. Also, that try should have been disallowed, says Fulk. Although if that one was going to be disallowed, this one certainly was not. Another try for Ireland, making it 3 now in their favour. We have got there... I don't know how Hamish can keep a straight face with this crazy conversation about strange things. Hamish is super professional, says Ruth. And oh my God, says Jimbo. And Ireland are ruthless, a Welshman after our dire game against Portugal. We wouldn't come close to them, says Funk. Meister in there. Matt Canson, 1 defender, 2 defender, 3 defender, 4. Matt Canson going through all of them. Malakai Feketoa, a bit of a cheap shot there on Hugo Keenan as a half-time, says Reese. Not quite. They have still got a little bit more time. We have got there, I still believe in you, Tonga, says AT. And what a try Hansen go Ireland, says Dennis. But now Johnny Sexton. Ireland almost at that stage of having a bonus point before we get to half-time in this fixture. And also the Irish flags from Anthony. There's our poor defence from Tonga here, just leaving too many gaps, unfortunately. Once again, it's Taumapo's wing that has been exposed. I feel like they're definitely going to have to make a change at some stage relatively early on in the second half, whether or not that is Finney Anisi, who does make his way out onto that side. Might not be a bad idea. Sexton straight down the middle once more, and that is going to make the score 24 points to 6. Bundyaki, quick backline hands. And then Matt Hansen. Yeah, Taumapo was caught way out of position. He was waiting on the wing. Change your scoreboard. Says Lomi in there as well. Has scrolled down a bit, hasn't it? There you go. That'll be better. Matt Hansen not on the side for last week, like they said. And the box are waiting for you Irish, says John. Also, we get Malakai big hits. Says Blues Nate, but now it is going to be Bundyaki almost through, but Sam Lausi makes the tackle on him. Wonder will Matt Hansen walk around in his underwear again, says Yvonne. Do you see the hot Irish girls in the stadium, mate, says Dennis. I'll be honest, I was fixing the scoreboard. I wasn't looking at any of the crowd. In that case, Charles Piatel now breaking through another tackle of Hugo Kennan. That is 3 from 3 that he has been able to break through now. So I need to switch up the direction. Number 11, Solomoni Kata. Fikatoa still yet to have the run. Hi, Hamish. I appreciate your work, brother. Keep it up. The Tongs says Laurie. And now, quick hands for the Tongans. Fikatoa. They'll get the ball for a second time. Poe grubbers it off James Lowe's leg. Puts it into touch. And I believe that is now going to be a Tongan line out. We have got there, with huge amount of respect, all fun and games till my green team wins, says Aiden. And also Ireland is playing average. Wait, green team. Are we talking the Irish, Aiden? Bit of koi big. If you hold your nose and talk, you sound like Malakai Fikatoa. It looks like Ben Tamefuna. He's got some sort of injury of that right shoulder, which might be a bit more of a stoppage here. Secure that line out, says Samuel. Second oldest squad at this World Cup, Ireland. Second behind South Africa. Both, says Aiden. And Tonga playing well, just Ireland showing their class. Andy did say he is using his top all the way. Thoughts on that, Hamish, says audio. I mean, it works well if you don't get injured. If you do end up with any injuries along the way, of course, that can hurt you. But like I said earlier on, Ireland, the thing that's made them so strong over the past year and a half is the fact that they are going with their strongest team most of the time that they make their way onto the field. They're saying, like, we want to keep consistent. We want to keep those top players out there on the field. But then there's still opportunities for those younger guys along the way as well. Our boys separate from the man, as expected. Can't wait for the quarterfinal. And also, Fozzie to Shave is here if he wins. Says Blues Nate. And Manawatu says Anoi. So far, 315 metres made by Ireland compared to the 108 of Tonga. Once again, loose at line out time for the Tongans. And it's cleaned up by Ronan Kelleher. Age is just a number, says Dennison there. Yeah, it's not a bad thing having an old squad. That's just the stat that they told you. I can tell you the youngest squad in it is Australia as well. There you go. Extra stat for you. Now, only sitting a few metres out from their own 22. And Tongans do have to try and clear this one. Little bit of a counter-ruck. Augustine Pulu, he's played that ball on the ground, so that will be the penalty against him. The wing for Tonga sucks. And Drew, let's see how the plan goes in the tournament. I don't have the depth of their whole squad. Says Robinson, an Irish born. I'm a huge Springbok supporter. 53 years in this country. Thanks, guys. Says Aiden. And look how old Sexton is. And he's still class, says Robinson. Yeah, exactly right. And I think he's actually got better with age. Johnny Sexton. He's like a fine wine. You know? There's a patch there where he wasn't quite ready. And now he seems like he is certainly doing all right. Is this a piece of your brain? Says Eric J. And the Boca coming for Ireland, says D. Older squad, more experience, says Andrew. And this is Ireland's year, says Rocket. That's why there's heaps of banana boat in Ireland. All going to sleep with the Irish woman, says Marco. Australia, hang your heads in shame. You coughed up a superstar that's wearing green and white, not green and gold, says Connor Cahill. Kelleher! Oh, that's brilliant work from Willie Harveli, although that ball has eventually gone down, but it is held up initially, so it is the goal line dropout. Brilliant work from Willie Harveli. The last ditch effort. It should have been a certain try for Ronan Kelleher. But rather than passing, he goes himself. And Tonga to the bin if they keep this up, says Yvonne. And then the Tonga, pronounced T and not D for Donga. Says Freddie Simon. Normally in the Tongan pronunciation, now you got me questioning it, but normally it is that the T is a D for the way that it is said. But yeah, that is why. You can say Tonga, you can say Donga as well, depending on, I guess, who you talk to as well. Nice to see some Kiwis with a passion for rugby. Reminds me of the golden era. It is late 80s, and Sexton try well, says Al. I think you're a little bit ahead, so be sure not to put too many spoilers in. Ringrose now breaking through the line. We know who's scoring. It's Johnny Sexton, and he's gone up the middle. Third try of the World Cup for that man now. And Sexton try well and voiceless. T and Dongan, says Gus, and also Tonga a little bit too slow, says the New Age. But Sexton scoring 3 tries. Him and Byrne at the moment are having a bit of a race between them. Cool, says Freddie Simon. And there. And also we have got there, and the J and Irish try, says F. Sexton. Like I mentioned, I was saying about how he's like fine wine. But Connor Murray, nice seller dummy, then goes off to Ringrose. Johnny Sexton stepping through, almost has to fend off Gary Ringrose. And Sexton breaks the Irish record, says Yvonne. I believe that's most points ever now for an Irishman, if I'm not wrong. And look out, South Africa. Ireland's coming, says Fulk. And also Tonga have given up, says Grant Swartz, and they will put 50 plus on the Tongans, says Hanoi. And there as well. And it's a nice, easy kick. Oh, Wayne Barnes is walking up to Johnny Sexton, though. Is this? Okay, no, he's been told it's all right. Come on, the Irish, says Paul. That one has gone over now. Going to be 31 points to 6 in favour of Ireland here. And Ireland don't need to worry about the bonus point, says Robinson. Yeah, they've already got it for this first half. It's just about that points differential now of how they are going to be able to increase if Ireland win the Rugby World Cup. That's it for rugby, says Cool Story Bro. How come? I feel like they're one of the sides that are expected to do well in this Rugby World Cup. It was a strange angle. I was sad at, says Eric J. And also, we waited patiently for you guys, says George. Now, on back off White. So now Tonga have got themselves the position 40 metres out from the line. Sagefrey Fisi Ahoy. Oh. Trying to get the penalty there was Pulu. Referee says no. Now Malakai Feketahi, his first straight run. It's official. Johnny Sexton has become the all-time highest point scorer in Irish rugby history. I never liked him, but good on him, says Connor. Now another advantage. I believe it's against one of the Irish forwards for a high tackle. This is where Tonga cannot afford to take on the 3 points. They are too far behind. They need tries. I predicted Ireland would get 60 points. Might be more like, 40 points might be more like 60, says Robinson. They are kicking for the corner here. Smart move from Tonga. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be going for threes when you are down by 25. And well done, Johnny, new record. Can they make 60, says Brian. At the moment, they are looking relatively likely to do so. It seems like they're even speeding up as we get further towards the second half. Yeah, just a high shot there from Johnny Sexton. On Malakai Feketahi is what caused that penalty. And now only 5 metres out from the line, it will be Tonga who have got themselves the line out. The only Six Nation teams to lose to a Southern Hemisphere team has been Scotland. So where's the confidence coming from? Says Richard. And also George, don't be too quick to run for your execution, says Fulk. And the Irish don't care how they win as long as they do. I'll throw in from Naumu. Going to the back. Lausia was actually claiming that one. Looks like it's gone down pretty much instantly. Tonga, they do have the ball available at the back. Now Naumu again with the ball. Furlong almost given away. That's got to be a penalty against Ty Furlong. Accidentally kicking the ball away. Was jumping around like he was on some sort of pogo stick. I think Tonga, they either go quick tap or line out here. Keep the pressure on. Desperation at its finest, says Session. And Scotland will play a very strong South African team, though. Or did play a very strong South African team. And the Boks are going to get bashed, says Fulk. And Ireland is the number 1 team in the world. You guys do know this, says Richard. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game next week because it is the number 1 ranked side in the world versus the defending champs. And certainly going to be an electric atmosphere. We are going to be covering that one on the channel alongside every game of the Rugby World Cup. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 33,000. We are closing in slowly. So yeah, if you do want to help us out, it's hugely appreciated. Is that yellow card worthy from Furlong? I think because it's one of the first infringements Ireland have had from out in front of their line, they wouldn't end up giving him one, but it's certainly a stern warning for kicking it away. Now it's going to be the advantage to Tonga, breaking off the back. Pulu with the short ball. That might be a bit of shepherding. Accidentally, I think Pulu just ended up in the wrong place, wrong time. But a massive shot coming in from Bundy Aki. And another penalty goes the way of Tonga. And he's reaching to the pocket. This time it's a yellow card. Who's leaving the field? It's either Ronan Kelleher or I think it might have been the loose forward. Yeah, it's Peter O'Mahony. Got himself in trouble. That's actually one of the first times we've seen him in this game for Peter O'Mahony. We have got their massive game next week. Says Marco. An ideal scenario is if Ireland beat the Boks and South Africa beat, or Scotland beat Ireland. But that's a hope. And our prayer at this point, says Mr. Novel Bro. Wayne actually doing his job now, says Session. And the yellow card says Annoy. So 4 minutes after half-time, we are still seeing a few extra minutes of play. And Omani deserved, or getting a deserved yellow. First yellow in the yeet, or in a year, says Yvonne, I think that is. Penalties are starting to add up against the Irish. If they're not careful, they could find themselves with another man going to the bin. But now it's going to be Puru. Feeding the ball in the box will demolish this Ireland side. Says Young 21. The ref's a barista. So you can expect him to get it right the first time. Or you can't expect him to get it right the first time, sorry. 4 minutes past the 40. It's been a good yeet, says Eric. It could be leap yeet. And watch Wayne give Ireland a penalty, says Session. And we know Ireland is number one, but they haven't played the box yet, says John. Right, 5 metres out from the line here. And it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a shaky scrum via Fafita getting through the middle to be able to clean it up. Now Connor Murray, unfortunately, has fallen the wrong way. So for now, he's not going to be penalised as they are going around him. Now Pulu going across again to Halaleva Fafita. Pulu sells the dummy, almost manages to pierce through a gap. That is another penalty, this time against Bundyaki for diving over the top of the breakdown. I think that could almost end up being another yellow card against the Irish here. But Tonga still looking to find their way over the try line. We're up to 45 minutes in this first half. Tommy Funa, good hands from what was the big number 6 here. Tangi Noa Halafanua is the name. Now Pulu going to the right-hand side. Salah the dummy from Piraki. Now Pulu again goes off to Charles Pietau. Looks for the offload on the inside. Now off to the left again. Leva Fafita driven backwards once more. And the side of the breakdown. This is good phase play here for the Tongans. Malakai Feketoa thought about reaching out. Finds his offload away to Pulu. They still haven't quite got there, Tonga. And it looks like Feketoa telling everyone to calm down while not even looking at the breakdown. And now they've gone back for the penalty because they took too long. And always going to get the revenge of the Rugby World Cup. Watch out, England. If the Box don't win the World Cup, I would like Ireland to win. Says Gary. Right, so this penalty against Bundyaki was very close to being a yellow card. Just talking about the hands on hips at the moment. 46 minutes, Ireland allergic to rolling away. Says Shashanen should have gone wide left. And Ireland cheating, says the Blue Baron. Now they are playing with the 14 men on the field. 46 and a half minutes through the first half, ladies and gentlemen. This game doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. The funny thing is, it still has taken less time to get through this half with them being at 47 minutes than what it did in the game between between Chile and Samoa to get through the game. Watching from Ireland. Here's Epic FIFA there. Welcome in, mate. Now, Pulu to feed that ball in one more time. Can the Tongans break the formidable Irish defence? South Africa never cheat. I would never see them offside, says Fulk. And refs are not honest, says Spider Mick. Now off the back via Fafita. Gets the try for Tonga. At the end of the first half, 48 minutes in, they finally break through. He has got an injury, but he is playing through it. Drove his legs well there, even though I believe it is actually a leg injury that he has got for himself. But the try is scored. Brilliant bit of work there from via Fafita. Dream on, Philip says, John of the Boca bringing the cup for the 4th time back to South Africa, says D. Brown. And also we have there, Tonga, says Section and try time at Chahu, says Laurie. And the chat as well. Bah, says Yvonne. Livestream anyone says many men, depending on whereabouts you are in the world, will depend on what options you have got for the watching. So if you go onto the Rugby World Cup website and then search for where to watch, you will be able to find exactly where you can watch these games. Some of them are for free. The game must stop now, says Sifalele. And also number 1 in the world, John, says Philip, why did Ireland give up players to stop that try? They got 31 points, says Robinson. And we're back in it with one more try, says the New Age. But now the kick for Willie Havili. Shouldn't take too much effort to get this one over for Havili. And it has gone over, so that will now make the score at half-time. 31 points to 13. Box never cheat and are always clean. Bucky's is a saint. Kring is another saint. And Skulkit's God. Says Gernowik and Ireland constant offside. Multiple infringements, yet only one yellow. What a joke. Says Mr. Kiwi for life. Although the penalties that they have given away have been slightly different in some regards. So I can understand why they've only got the one yellow. I would have thought Bundy Aki may have ended up with a yellow card, though, for what he did in the breakdown just a little bit ago. But yeah, 31 points to 13 at the moment between these two sides. 8 penalties against both of these teams throughout that first half. Like and subscribe, guys. Says Epic FIFA. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are hoping to get to 32,600 by the end of this halftime break, which is only 55 away. And George, I believe you, million wouldn't, says Fulk. And also, their worst box team was the 2003 World Cup team, says John. And what do you think of the game so far? It's been a relatively fast-paced one. Ireland have shown, once again, some structure in their backline when it has been firing. They've been a little bit scrappy at times in the breakdowns throughout this game, but they've beaten 17 defenders. They have managed to get themselves 255 running meters throughout that first half, and also more possession, slightly less territory, though, throughout that game. So few people ever play rugby in Ireland, yet they're number 1 in the world. Says Philip, I think I saw someone mentioned earlier on it's about 95,000 Irish players or something along those lines. Which is, I mean, it's a bigger player pool than some teams, of course, but still, I guess, comparison-wise, I think it's a few, like 20,000 less than New Zealand, something like that. I could be wrong, though. In that statement, I got to go. But as always, thanks you guys on it. Says Stretch Fletcher, thank you very much for tuning in, mate. We have also got the, what do you think of the officiating so far in this World Cup? I think that we are lacking consistency, and that is a big concern on a lot of people's minds heading into the later stages of the competition. I think Tonga could upset Ireland. What do you think, Hamish? I don't think they'll be able to get quite back into it, Tonga. I think they've allowed Ireland to get too much of a lead here, and as the Irish start to make those changes, Rob Herring off the bench, Kilcoyne, Belham, Henderson. I think they've also got Ryan Beard, Craig Casey, and then, who else? They got Robbie Henshaw. And then, who's the last bloke? Ross Byrne, I think, is the other player off the bench. I'm a rugby coach. And Ireland, says Epic FIFA. How's the match been? Just finished work, says Callan. It's been relatively fast-paced between the two sides. We've seen 12 successful lineouts from the Irish, compared to only the 2 out of 4 that we've seen from Tonga. So that is somewhere that the Irish have been able to use, I guess, to their advantage, also getting themselves the line-out set play. Where do I watch this? Depending on whereabouts you are in the world will depend on your options to be able to watch these games, but it is going to be on World Rugby, or the Rugby World Cup website. They have a section called Where to Watch, and you'll be able to see exactly where you can watch these games. We have got there Hamish lookalike Hansen going well tonight, says William. I mean, I'll take looking like Hansen. I don't think we quite look the same. I used to look like James Lowe, people told me, because I had long hair, but now I feel like I just look like no one. And hey, as long as small nations have a point on the board against top team, they're doing good, says Spider-Mick, and thanks, Hamish. Says Kalen there. It does really good. There's Rugby League still exists. It does. There's actually a few games of Rugby League coming up in the near future. I believe throughout October there's a Pacific Nations Cup taking place between New Zealand, Australia, Samoa, Tonga, and maybe Fiji and Papua New Guinea. A few of those sides taking part. Robbie Henshaw from my town, says Epic FIFA, and what a try by Hansen, says M. And there you're breaking through about 4 defenders challenges to be able to get over that try line and score a very nice try. Good to see Ireland get a line out sorted, says Brian. Yeah, 12 from 12 is certainly handy. Definitely with the fact that they don't have Dan Sheehan. I think that was a big concern for a few Irish supporters, was whether or not they could do well without him. Are you lucky, Hamish? I've been told I look like Quasimodo, says Brian. And Ireland beat South Africa in November, says Philip. And there, and don't think the South African Rhinos have featured anywhere in many years, says John. In fact, they actually have a rugby league game, if I'm not wrong. I can't remember which South or the African side that they're playing. They might be playing Japan in rugby league, if I'm correct. The fire alarm is a semi-octave higher, says Eric J. And it's about the third spot after football, Irish type, and hurling. As far rugby, Munster is pretty good. Sorry, lads, from Leinster. Says Dennis, and won't don't the Pacific Nations Cup or the Pacific Islands join together like a barbarian side and join the Rugby Championship when South Africa joined the Seven Nations in 2025, says Neil. I mean, it's an idea. I know that South Africa joining the Six Nations has still been a very talked about subject because there's a lot of technicalities that need to go into it. And I can tell you right now, a majority of the Six Nations sides do not want to have to travel to South Africa to play games of the Six Nations. So the only way that I think that would work is either if the money's right or whether South Africa are willing to be based out of one of the Six Nations that are already playing in the comp. I don't see them doing it otherwise because, they wouldn't want to travel. And a majority of their board is based out of that Six Nations, different regions. So, I don't think they'll be doing that just yet. In New Zealand, who schools have rugby as their main team sport. Most private schools in Ireland are known as rugby schools. We have some, but I think it's slowly dwindling in terms of the numbers of younger people playing rugby, which is slightly unfortunate. I think that the high school where I went, we never had a first 15 team, mainly because they couldn't get 15 players together, let alone the 22 or 23. Rugby is fourth biggest sport. Gaelic, soccer, hurling, then rugby, says Giddy Giddy. And does this channel show game footage? Sadly not, due to licensing. If we were to show any match footage or audio, they would take us straight off YouTube. But we do the commentary throughout the games, and also we tell you exactly where you can find the highlights of the contest that is on the Rugby World Cup or World Rugby's YouTube channel. It's a good option there. So far, scrums for Tonga have actually been quite successful. 6 from 6 in this one. And set the South Africans up in Spain. Says Yvonne, and also Ireland will not win the Rugby World Cup 2023. Says Johan. And if France or Ireland win the World Cup, it should be like the Lions, the Southern Hemisphere Super Team, or ANZAC Pacific Team, or the Rugby Championship teams. Says Laurie, and there's a lot of European refs in this World Cup. I think that's why it's not been good. Says Edwin. I think we've had a few Southern Hemisphere boys in there as well, haven't we? We've got old Ben O'Keefe, James Dolman, Nick Berry, Angus Gardner, Jaco Piper. Who else have we got? There's a few others in there as well. You still have professional rugby teams there. It's not like it's amateur. Says Mikhail, I'm really high. I had no first 15. I'll send you a care package. Says Fluffy. And we have also got there, Go Tonga. You don't need the referee to help you. Says Jacques. And New Zealand, or basketball is New Zealand's second most popular sport. Says Neil. So what is the most popular? Is it still rugby or has it gone in a different direction? I know that cricket, I don't know if it's as popular, but it's still relatively up there as well. Probably about third or fourth in the overall numbers, and based them in the south of France, says Jimbo. Looking at some of the stats, the key players throughout that first half, we have seen Johnny Sexton score 16 points. Sione Havili Talatui is the leading tackler in this game with the 10 tackles made. Salisi Piatel, or Charles Piatel, 71 running metres, 2 offloads from Peter O'Mahony, but also got himself yellow carded near the end of the first half, and 5 carries crossed the gain line from Ronan Callaghan in this game as well. The Irish are happy once they do better than England, beating them at their own game. And where's the names of the try scorers crawling on the bottom edge of the video, says Igor. They are not here for this one, but I can tell you who has scored the tries so far throughout this game. We have seen the tries from Tyke Byrne, Caelan Doris, Mac Hansen, and Johnny Sexton. For the Irish, they have already got themselves the bonus point, and then via Fafita, the man who was able to score the try for Tonga. South Africa and the Six Nations would affect Southern Hemisphere dramatically, says Annie. And just tuned in, any cards or injuries first half. So we did see a slight injury was via Fafita, but he hasn't actually gone off the field and went on to score himself a try. 1 yellow card so far in this game. That was for Peter O'Mahony, but he will be back out on the field at some stage early on. And at the second half, Johnny Sexton became Ireland's record point scorer. Says Clay certainly did. And 1 yellow to Ireland, says Davey Boy. I think O'Mahony might have only 2 or 3 minutes of his card left, says Brian. Yeah, with the fact that it went to 47 minutes, I believe that he won't be too far off being able to make his way back out onto the field when that second 40 does get underway. But you wonder, how much did that drain the gas tank of the two sides playing for those few extra moments? Do you think World Rugby have got it right with regards to the new rules? No. There's still a lot of grey area, and unfortunately, well, the thing is, they could have the rules 100% correct, but the problem isn't so much the rules, it's the refereeing of the rules. We've seen so many inconsistencies in international rugby, unfortunately, and it is hurting the game a little bit. But yeah, as you guys know, we don't normally like to bring up the refereeing that much, but throughout this World Cup, we have had to talk about it quite a bit, mainly because of some of the poor decisions that have been made. We've got there Messi Ferguson, says Fluffy. And also, we'd be really good if we left and played cricket with Hurleys. Says Dennis, a nice Hamish says audio. And there as well. But we are not too far away from the second half getting underway, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is hugely appreciated. You will be in here for this one. Ref is law, not the rule. Says cool story, bro. It's always one. And Tonga are doing great for such a small country. Fair play to them. Says Philip. And also we have got there, was after I'd finished with it. And says Eric J there. But do let me know who you guys think will be the first try scorer in the second 40 minutes of this game. In the first half, I think I went with, who did I go with in that first half? I think I went with one of the forwards, maybe Josh Van den Flair, no, Kalen Doris, one of those guys. In that loose forward trio, I think I backed. We've got the Ireland win, says Axel Ireland, says Starboy and Ireland playing very strong, Tonga playing with a lot of heart, but I think they're outmatched, says Jake Bromley. And the thing that might help Tonga is if Ireland's discipline does start to dwindle in the second half. We have seen them give away already 8 penalties. We have got there another damaged victim, says Eric J. And Ireland's fittest team in the comp, says Ryan. And a rugby match is lasting longer and longer now. They are. That last game between Samoa and Chile was 2 hours and 10 minutes long, or somewhere around that mark, which is absolutely insane. Because normally, if you got through a game in about 1 hour 50, you were doing pretty decently. And yes, they had a couple injuries, but everything was getting checked by the TMO. They had the drinks breaks thrown in there as well, so that will, of course, take it a little bit longer. I think Ireland will beat South Africa by 20 points, says Falk. And not so good on the getaway, says Eric. And also, there's been one game this Rugby World Cup without a card. Rugby is broken at the moment, says Ian Foster. And Ireland is God's country, says a Rocket 9. And Irish people like rugby because it unites Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland in one team. Soccer is split. Does anyone know where I can watch or where I can find player match stats, says Mike? So the Rugby World Cup, they do actually have a website that you can not just look for whereabouts you can see it, whereabouts you are in the world, but they also have all the stats and everything for the competition up till this point. And Islander box, both sides will go at it for solid 80 minutes. We have got there, God have many masks on earth, says Rocket 9, and people at the top make those stupid rules. They don't like rugby, or they don't play rugby, how bizarre. And thanks, chat, says Mike. And also we've got the I'm Irish. I don't think Ireland will beat the box, says usual. Ireland overrated, says John. I mean, they are on about a 14-match winning streak, but I guess in what regard would you say they're overrated, John? Would you say that their 14 wins aren't justified, or would you just say that, I'm not sure. As I feel like it's probably reasonable to rate them with the fact that they have won so many games back to back to back. Let's say Ireland beat the Springboks, goes back to New Zealand, sweet revenge for New Zealand, says George. And also Ireland versus South Africa will be a great match, but not a work-up decider, says a Richard. And also we have got there, what series do you watch, says Darren. I sadly don't really get a lot of time to watch Netflix or anything like that, mainly because any time that we're not doing a live stream, we're either editing or studying the lineups and everything along those player stats on South Africa or France top teams, says Philip. And I think Northern Hemisphere refs has a different interpretation to the Southern Hemisphere refs, says Gary. And overrated with 14 straight wins, you blind boys, says Kerno Wick. And also we have got there, Hamish, any thoughts on the rumours of Rassi taking over from Farrell, says David Dempster. It's an interesting one, as long as he brings his lights with him. They are too hyped, says John. Okay, so you're saying that the Irish public are getting behind their side too much after winning 14 times in a row? And you feel like they shouldn't be as excited about a side that are on a big win streak, I assume is the argument there. Okay. We got to beat one of those giants, but we've known that for 3 years. Number one team says audio. And whoever comes second in their group will most likely face France in the quarterfinals. And also we have their giant Georgetown stuff, and Ireland is the most solid team. They have a 6th cent with each other, says Richard. We don't hope ourselves in Ireland. We are scared, says LMC. And also Hugo Porter nearly beat New Zealand on his own, says, it was there from Spider Mick. Wait, Hugo Porter? Or Hugo Keenan or Andrew Porter? And bloody Irish overachievers, says Fluffy. Now, second half underway, ladies and gentlemen. Ireland kicking off from left to right, playing with 14 men for a little bit longer. In this contest, nicely taken by Vaya Fafita, the try scorer just outside of the 22. And I do see that they've already made the change. Hugo Porter, they beat the Box alone in 1982. We have got there South Africa are not all that. They have plenty of weaknesses, says Falk. And also led by Sexton, a living legend, says it was there from Richard. Now, going forward. Although if you do have to look back to a 1982 result, surely that's a bit far back, isn't it? You want to go with one that's happened in recent times when the two sides are played. I think 90% of the team wouldn't have been born at that game. And come on, Ireland, show your clout. Smash them all, says Stephen. And also we have got there Jimbo. Yes, trust me, we consider Ireland a giant as well, says George. Connor Murray looking to take that one, but did knock it on with William Havili putting on the pressure. I think he's been one of the pick of the players for the Tongans. Johnny Sexton actually finished his game here. He's wearing a polo shirt. I don't know whether or not he's injured. I think he's actually just popped into the showers. Looks like Peter O'Mahony also getting stretched a bit before he makes his way back out onto the field. Asking for some balance here for the referee, Wayne Barnes. Sexton done for the game. Yep, so he's already had his shower. He's all cleaned up, ready to go for the next game up against South Africa. South Africa only win World Cups beating England and Tier 2 teams. Poisoning New Zealand in 95, says Giddy Giddy. And also we have got there clearly intoxicated with Ireland. Sexton off, yes, says Jimbo. He certainly is. Now the penalty goes the way of Tonga, so starting to apply that little bit more pressure here at the start of the second half. And while they have got their man advantage, they do need to make the absolute most of it. Why are they kicking for the 3? Why? That's not a good decision from Tonga. The thing is, I could list you 5 things that are wrong with this decision from the Tongans. 1, they've got momentum. 2, they've got a man advantage. 3, this doesn't help them out because they still need to score 3 tries afterwards. 4, it's just not a smart play. And 5, there's a chance he misses it. Those last 2 were a bit of a stretch, but you see what I'm saying. Let's go Tonga, says Simran in there as well. Yeah, they're not going to win this game if they only want to take on 3-pointers when they've got a man advantage. This seems like a very poor choice from the Tongans. But can William Havili get the kick over? He can. That does nothing for them. 31 points to 16. They should not be kicking agreed, says the New Age. Definitely while they've got the man advantage for just a little bit more time as well. Going for the 3 is a good option. Lots of time left to build a score. Although up against an Irish side who have scored 4 tries against you in the first half compared to your 1, I feel like it's just a tricky scenario for them to be. And now they're going to be deep inside of their own 22. Taumapo has done the big run forward. But if Ireland win a penalty here, they will go for the corner. I can guarantee you that. Unless they want to use up the rest of the time on their clock. It's the other thing. And South Africa 3 World Cups, Ireland 0, says John. Now, Hugo Keenan. Another nice step, sitting on the halfway line. Lots of time left to build the score. There's Richard with the Irish clover there. I think Ireland would do what them Tonga just did. No, just no, says Dennis there. Be told to use it now. Kicking up high as Connor Murray. And correct damage, says Neil. Nicely taken, Tonga. I think he might have been almost tackled in the air by Mac Hansen, but they are going to go play on just for now down the short side now. Nice little flick pass on the inside to Taumapo. Moving up to the halfway line now. I believe that was Charles Pietau who was able to find that pass away. Big shot coming in from Ireland. A little bit of a counter ruck and they'll go right back for the original penalty. I think that Ireland can do very well. We will see. So here's Justin and Beryl Smart. He's using these games to bring the team to the peak at the final. So here's Falk and gives a squiz about the penalty hammy. So at this stage, the penalty count in this contest, it is sitting at, it is 9 penalties against Ireland, 8 against Tonga. And the 1 yellow card for the Tongans, or sorry, for the Irish of Peter O'Mahony. He is now back out onto the field. We've got the Tonga 16, 31 for the Irish. Here's Gary. And Brother Hamish, or Haley. She is so good at pronunciations on names, it's amazing. Is my nickname Haley, maybe? In this case, your commentating is amazing. Please play me the Yalale one sec. Play me the... Is that Rudy? I'm not too sure what you mean. What does 2019 have to do with this World Cup? Says Richard, in 2017 does not exist for Springboks fans. Irish fans can't argue rugby. And what is the time? Says Berenice. At the moment it is sitting at about 46 minutes through, which does mean Peter O'Mahony will now be back out onto the field here for the Irish. Back to 15. So Ross Byrne, he made his way onto the field. That was for Johnny Sexton. I see Rob Herring is also out there. And I think Ireland actually made about maybe 6 subs at halftime by the looks of it. Connor Murray. In fact, it might be a couple less than that. Maybe only about 3 or 4. Oh, loose ball. Ireland. It looks like he's disappointed there, Gary Ringrose. He almost hit the try, but does narrowly end up missing out. We have got there Pakistan, Afghanistan, Ireland, Stan. All the same place, says Marco. Those are the last 2 times the teams played each other. Ireland won, says Philip. Now Tonga needing to find an exit from just outside of their own goal line. What is South Africa versus Ireland? Head to head, says John. That is a great question. Although I know that a lot of people like to look at what's happened recently rather than of all time. Maybe look at the last 5 years or so as a good indication. Yellow card ref. Says Mr. Kiwi for life. Yeah, there's another penalty against the Irish, so they must be close to getting themselves another yellow card in this fixture. Box will win everything. Shaka Zulu will return, says Kuno Wick. And also, I meant to say, send score to friend at work, says Gary, no worries. Now, Willie Harvili kicking downfield. And as the time starts to creep on more, you guys beat us by 3 points in your own backyard. World Cup different, says George. And Morning Mate's still on, says FW. We certainly are. And we've got 3 games that are taking place back to back to back tomorrow as well, ladies and gentlemen. How many penalties is that now? Was anyone counting? I am counting. It's 10 against the Irish and 8 against Tonga at this point. See the frustration of Ringrose. He was having a tantrum as he slapped the ground there. Irish Trial says, cool story, bro. And the St. Andre. Who's ranked number 1 in the world? John and George, says Philip. Now it's thrown in. Ireland steal the ball again at line-out time. So the 100% line-out accuracy continues, and also that lack of accuracy from the Tongans does continue as well. I think that's currently sitting at about 40% line-outs for them. Kicked him behind by Ross Byrne down the middle of the field. Solomon Ikate is back. He doesn't normally kick, and I think we've just seen why. That's gone very high, although it's not a bad kick overall. Although now gives James Lowe the chance near the touchline, offloaded on the inside to Bundy Aki. Does drop down to a knee. And until other teams win the World Cup, there'll be 4 teams in it, says Justin. Ty Byrne driven backwards. Gets the offload away. He has already got himself 3 tries for the Irish throughout this Rugby World Cup. And rankings don't win World Cup, says John. Too many penalties. It's about rugby, for Christ's sake, says Spider-Mick. And there as well. Murray. Back across to the right-hand side. James Lowe receives the pass from Byrne. Now out to Rob Herring. Tries his step, but William Harvili has to make yet again another tackle for Tonga. You have to wonder at this stage, with the Irish attacking the way that they are, would Tonga have preferred to take on that 7 points rather than the 3? Malakai Fekitoa, quick ball out to Solomon Ikate, and once again he goes for the boot in behind, only jogging after it. Looks like Ireland going to have an acre of time to be able to deal with it. Breaking through the tackle there, Hugo Keenan moves back up to the halfway line after breaking through an additional one. Now Murray looked to the short side. That may have been cynical from Charles Piatel. May find himself with himself in the bin. That was a massive shot from Ben Tamefuna on the replacement. Dave Kilcoyne. Ball is loose again. Finley Bilham manages to regather. Burn with the kick in behind. Cleaned up by Tonga. The advantage was not over and they will go right back. Bragging rights after 3 World Cups says it all, says John. And gut instinct is a sign from the future self, says Rocket. And Republic of Ireland, says Marco. And also a what a cool side, said James Lowe. And also we never underestimate our opponents. Just replying to what Ireland supporters are saying, says Poncho. I honestly think this is probably, correct me if I'm wrong, biggest rivalry at the moment throughout this World Cup has to be South Africa-Ireland. In terms of the amount that we have heard about it across the last few weeks, in terms of the amount that we heard about it heading into this Rugby World Cup, I think that that is the rivalry and that is the game that everyone is looking at as, I guess, a little bit of a decider, even though it only determines who finishes 1 and 2 in that group. You could hire a bus behind Gerba, says Fulk. And all right, I'll get an environmentally friendly TARDIS, says Luffy, but great footwork there from Hugo Keenan. And the MP Atal helping drag him down alongside. Placement number 22 on Ireland couldn't even get out of the group stage in 2007. Although I don't think many of these players were playing in 2007, other than maybe Johnny Sexton if he's lucky. And if that's true, Fafa's here like him, the most gorgeous blonde hair in the game. We have got there, must be the braids, says Blues Nate. Now, looks like another change has been made here for the Tongans. I think that's going to be Samisi Paya has made his way out. And Philip, as Ireland currently play in the box. If not, then what are you on about? Let's settle this down next week, shall we, and enjoy the current game perhaps. Says Stan. Now 10 metres out, Bundyaki has to slap it back like he's playing volleyball with the spike. Now Connor Murray, waiting for this one to become available. Sam Mully also there out on the field for Tonga. I believe they've made about maybe 4 of their changes off the bench at this stage, but Murray now goes off to the number 23, Robbie Henshaw, flat ball after Hugo Keenan tries to spin a little bit closer to the try line. Penalty advantage now for the Irish. 10 metres out, now moving to 5, it was forward from Connor Murray. I agree with you, Ireland, South Africa, says Gary. And new team beat South Africa. And Irish eyes will be smiling when all is said and done, says Rocket 9, you're the best commentary. Thank you. Says Rudy, thank you very much, mate. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Still 15 points between these two teams, but I believe Ireland, what do they decide here? They've already got themselves the bonus point. It looks like they may opt for the tap or the scrum here. Peter O'Mahony is just staying down a bit longer. Some sort of injury. What are they going to decide? I think O'Mahony may actually have the final say here. So all the forwards are standing there going, we scrummaging or are we getting ready for the quick tap? Looks like Tonga also making a couple more changes. That is going to be the number 20, Solomoni Funaki, out there for Hale Whanua. Been playing number 6. Who top of the table winning the World Cup? Says Spider Mick. Oh. They're going for the quick tap here, 5 metres out. Herring drives towards the try line. He's over the line. And it is a try for Rob Herring. There was a question mark of whether or not it was a second movement or maybe he was propelled forward by his teammates. But Herring, 5 metre tap and go, has led to the try for the Irish. Kia ora. Wiramu says it was there from Blues Nate. Also, we have got there Sexton want to be like Dan Carter. Says Blues Nate. And how do you feel about the score margin? Tonga impressing, mate, says Scott. They've had their moments throughout this game, Tonga. I think it's the decision making that's hurt them a little bit at times. He's clearly short, propels himself forward. It's going to be a no try, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. They are going to go upstairs and check this one. Stats determine which team is better, says John. Although, of course, current stats are also a good one to base it off. Of course, Ireland doing very well recently. Same with South Africa, though. That's why it's going to be such an intriguing game. Because it is one of those contests that throughout the last month or so, I've heard a lot of both sides firing back and forth saying, we've done this to you, you've done this to us. But the time for talking is going to be the next 80 minutes next week when the two sides go head-to-head. That will determine who wins that game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the loser of that game won't go on to do great things in the Rugby World Cup. And it's just that question mark of who either handles the loss better or who can use that momentum from winning to help them further in the competition. Anyway, I see you guys on the 23rd of September for South Africa versus Ireland, says John. Actually very valuable, says George there. And England, says the Blue Baron. Now, William Havili, there's a penalty because he was tackled short and then propelled himself forward. What is the best match comeback you can remember, says Andrew? I mean, Scotland have had some pretty monumental comebacks in their time, of course. Super Rugby Pacific, we've seen a couple very nice comebacks coming. But it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, the Crusaders back in the day when they were down by about 30 points. Oh, it's dropped by Via Fafiti. He was breaking through the line, but now counter-attacking opportunity for Josh van den Flair. And Murray searching for that ball in the breakdown. Back to 31, says Brian. Now Matt Canson, skip pass out to Robbie Henshaw. Still playing under the advantage for the knock-on. In fact, that might have been Wayne Barnes saying the advantage is over. Ross Byrne looking for the up and under torpedo kick, making it awkward. Tamaplo has knocked the ball on yet again. He has had a very poor performance. We have got there a good call TMO about time, says audio. Now the ball's stolen by Tonga. Tamapo cleans up. Sitting on the halfway line at the moment. Tonga have once again got themselves the position. They're going back for the original knock-on from the Tongans. When the time is done, I'll be there in my South African underpay, says Rudy. And also about time for a triple movement. I'll be right back. In 2018, Springboks versus All Blacks at Loftus was a great comeback by the AB, says Rian Martins there. And Ireland versus South Africa as the final, says Steve. Great run from Via Fafita. Tried to sell the dummy, but then did just have it slip out of his hand. In fact, it was when he tried to tuck it under his arm. Normally, it's when they're holding it in one hand that the problems happen. But Via Fafita, disappointed. He hasn't got a mouth guard in. Someone should probably check that. But I know Artie Savia got in trouble for that a little while ago. 1998, Springboks versus All Blacks, 24-23. Great comeback, says John. And Crusaders was a big one, or a good one, says Andrew. And geez, the Tonga 14 dildos for hands, says Grant. And they chose Ireland, says Philip. I remember AB Springboks game a while ago. Ireland coming third. Says cool story, bro. And sorry, I speak in code, says Rudy. I have worked that out. I find it very hard to understand what is happening, but we get there in the end. That's the main thing. Good evening, all. Kudos to Tonga for ring, but not quite up to the challenge. See you in the next game. Lots of comments on here about Ireland not getting out of the group. We don't live in the past. The team is much better than you guys know. We have beaten world-class teams past few years, says Dennis. And yeah, 14-match winning streak at the moment for the Irish. In those winnings, they have beaten the likes of France, England, New Zealand, South Africa, Scotland. The list goes on. Now around the side of the breakdown, Murray, knock on from Peter O'Mahony. Another penalty we are going back for, though. This is the best they ever was, says Rocket 9. And can we ever forget brilliant Joos van der Westhuizen? Fabulous player for the box, says Ruth. And also tough games in Group B. Tonga are not easy. Hope it does not catch them later. Now Hugo Keenan. In fact, that time it's going to be Ross Byrne kicking for the touchline. And Ireland win the group. We'll lose to France in the semis, says Epic FIFA. And when's the last time South Africa won a tour in New Zealand, says Falk. It's a great question. They've won against New Zealand in New Zealand, but we don't often play them in a tour's the only thing. Like, they've beaten us in the Rugby Championship quite a bit throughout the years. So I guess that has to count for something, doesn't it? Being able to beat the ABs on a consistent basis for the South Africans. But yeah, it's just one of those ones that they don't actually tour New Zealand. 1939 was the last time. That'll be because they don't tour there. Now, Casey on across to Bundyaki. 10 metres out from the line. He hasn't been able to get himself a try as of yet in this game. It has been pretty close a couple of times. Big run forward from Ryan Beard. Who do you think is going to win? I still feel that Ireland are going to get themselves the victory here, although Tonga get themselves the penalty 5 metres out from the line. And I didn't say it's Ireland. And it's great to be Irish, lads. Win or lose, everyone wants to be Irish, and they face Ireland. Will kick ass. Says Sharon, and Ireland's goal is now named. It's great to be Irish, lads. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? I'm beating the All Blacks in New Zealand, not easy at all, says George. Yep. Quite a few sides doing it over the last little while, of course. Against the ABs. 13 penalties against Ireland in this game. That is one of the highest numbers that we have seen them concede in terms of penalties throughout the last little while. Tonga conceding the 10, so their discipline still needs to improve as they make their way through this Rugby World Cup group stage. And got to at least rest now, man. Penalties getting out of hand. Have you ever played rugby, says Stephen? I did used to play, but I was out on the wing, halfback, and our first 5 did not pass the ball, so I sat out there just tackling every single game. Anytime you tried to come off the wing, you get yelled at by the coach because he was the dad of one of the two at 9 and 10. And yes, Marks was a big blow, but there are other very capable options, says George. And now Ireland getting themselves another penalty. That is now 11 against the Tongans. Pacific Nation players are really heavy on their feet. Discipline is also costing them a lot. And he played when he was 8, says George there. Yeah, used to be in the team with George's cousin, who did get his balls squeezed in one of the games, fun fact, which he didn't enjoy in the scrum. That was by the opposition. One of the kids in the other team was like, oh, I know a way of getting under the opposition skin. I'll squeeze their balls. Which, I mean, it worked because he didn't enjoy it much at all, I don't think, in the front row. Now it's 1-14 at the moment for the Irish. Now 10 metres out from the line. Rob Herring. This is looking good for Ireland. Starting to march. They're a little bit closer forward towards the try line. Short ball to James Lowe's in for another try. Sexton puts his arm up and celebrates. Squeeze balls, lucky lad, says Fluffy. And South America, the rugby superpower, says Neil. I mean, we're seeing some good performances from South American sides in this Rugby World Cup already. Argentina is actually the exception of that at this point, but I'm hoping they manage to fire back after their week off. Yeah, but James Lowe, that is his first try. Decided to come in as a first receiver. Who's your favourite Irish player, says Stephen. I mean, I look at someone like a Caelan Doris or a Josh Van and Flair. Their loose forward trio is always immaculate for the Irish. It's too early to say who's going to get in the finals. Can get some upsets, says Samuel. And yeah, we are still waiting for that first upset. Argentina could be the boys, says, was George Moore. Yes, lads, yes, says Eldon. And also the Irish people are awesome people, says Gary. I will be honest, South Africa, Ali the Hay. You did say you speak in code, Rudy. So I don't know what that means. Easy work, Ireland. Says Epic FIFA, but now the score 38 points to 16 with 20 minutes remaining. I subscribe, says Stephen Wilson. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciated. Anyone else who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 33,000 subscribers. So if you do want to help us out, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We got ourselves the drinks break. I believe this will be the last one that we have throughout this contest. Backline for the Tongans still pretty much the same, other than Takalua coming in rather than the starting number 9 Pulu. For the Irish, I think that their backline has had a few changes as well. Ryan Beard is now on the field, Henderson as well, Herring and Kilcoyne. So the only change that they haven't made is actually the number 18 in this whole Irish team. That looks inevitable. Tonga's still putting up a good fight. If the New Zealand avoids the box in the quarters, it's a box versus New Zealand final, says Ashley. And also, what's the try score, says Epic. So the Irish have now got themselves, I believe that is their 6th try in this game. In fact, it might only be their 5th try, actually. My apologies. As long as the ref observes the offside rule, Ireland will beat South Africa, says Falk. And Tonga should fix their handling error, says Wesley. Also, we have got there. Tonga will be disappointed. They have much more potential than this, says Ian Foster. And yeah, I think the fact that they didn't play last week does mean it's relatively tricky for them to come into this game and really challenge. But I think that throughout this game, they've had their moments. They've managed to score themselves a try. And support Kiwi lads, super good work, says Trio. And get them to 33k, says David. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, hit that subscribe button. Tonga will be kicking off now from the halfway line. And bonus point 1 says Epic FIFA. It is indeed. It looks like Andrew Porter just doing a few of the warm downs. Ben Tamefuna now going to be making his way off the field. And that is for Sasefo Apakatoa, the replacement for him. I'm Irish too, says Stephen. This Irish team will do it. And don't forget, a little birdie told me about a Pollard big secret, says George. And number 15, it's giving them problems, says Marley. And also Scotland beating us wouldn't be an upset. Scotland are a very good team. Samoa beating England would be a bigger upset, says Eldon. Now nicely taken by Bundyaki. Like I mentioned, still yet to get himself a try in this game. Vailanu is also onto the field. That is for Via Fafita. Big run from Tyke Byrne. Did score himself the first try of the contest for the Irish. And 100 metres for people with no sense of direction. Says it was Eric running onto that one. William Arvelli, great. Under the high ball, unfortunately didn't have too many players with him, but Fikatoa has got in the breakdown, turned it over. Vailanu now. It's for the Glasgow Warriors in the URC, I believe. Now Takalua going to the right. Tonga, they would still need another 3 tries to walk away with at least 1 point in this fixture. It's quite an ask for the last 20 up against an Irish side that don't like conceding. Now Fikatoa off now into the hands of Solomoni Kata. Tackled by Gary. In fact, it was Robbie Henshaw. Good driving tackle from the replacement, Ryan Beard. Now Malakai Fikatoa trying to pierce his way through. Tackled by Henderson, the other forward replacement. At the moment, they are just lacking a little bit of go forward here for the Tongas, although nice run from Tamapo, made a few extra metres. Takalua off to the right-hand side now. Oh, Havili, the ball slipped out of the fingers there. It is relatively late at night, so it means there's a bit of moisture around. Don't think so, Wesley, says Ashley. And also, Tonga too many errors. Fix them for next time, says Trio. And how much time is left, says Monique. At the moment, there is still another 19 minutes remaining in this game between the two sides. For anyone wondering about the try scorers that we have seen, we've seen Caelan Doris. He managed to score himself 1. Also alongside that, Tyke Byrne, Mac Hansen, Johnny Sexton, and James Lowe for the Irish. And then for Tonga, they have had the 1 try, and that is via Fafita, who was able to cross the try line once. So far in this game, they are checking something on the TMO by the sounds of it. Tyke Byrne might have a finger injury. Looks like they are strapping that back up. Offering a free night here, 10% for folk who love rugby and mini stories, 1974, British and Irish Lions. And the first Irishman to successfully jump something is Fluffy. Sling and pass out to James Lowe. Just slipped out of the fingertips. And at least Tonga go down fighting. Since Spider-Man. That is true. And chances that Irish or the Island win the World Cup is high. But they might not win the World Cup. Says David, would you rather tackle Rob Valentini or Bundyaki? I think the thing is, Rob Valentini's probably going to get you more post-contact meters, whereas Bundyaki is going to hit you harder with the first run. So it just kind of depends whether or not you want like a slow and painful drawn out tackle or whether you just want to be knocked out straight away. In that case, you pick Bundyaki. And Box Beat Island next weekend, Scots might have a chance. There's Ashley. And AB 62 wins, South Africa 34 or 39, 4 draws. That's why South Africa make a big deal when they beat us, says Dean James. I'm a Box supporter, but I can't predict with certainty who is going to win, Springboks or Ireland. Yeah, certainly going to be an entertaining game. All throughout the week, we will have build-up videos towards that one, whether or not that is a preview of the match, the lineups being announced. Alongside that, also a lineup prediction of who we think the two sides will go with. And Stan, after next weekend, you're going to become a Springbok fan. Says George, the ball is getting a little bit slippery now. Yeah, just starting to go through the fingertips of the players a bit more often than not. But Ireland have got themselves another line out. Bundyaki would turn into a pink mist if I tried to tackle him, says Grant. And also South Africa is upset because they're in Africa, says Philip. Nothing wrong with being in Africa. In fact, Africa, if I'm not wrong, is the first continent in alphabetical order. There you go. Oh, brilliant run from Bundy Aki, accelerating well and scores himself the third try of the match for him. Of the Rugby World Cup for him. Fantastic, Johnny Sexton, Johnny go. And we have got there, George, if you got it wrong, I have a Springbok. Says stand and time remaining, still another 17 minutes remaining, and Ireland now get themselves another try on the ball with Bundy Aki. Peter O'Mahony is the only player who scored 2 tries last week for Ireland that hasn't gone on to score another try here. Johnny Sexton, Bundy Aki and Tyke Byrne all adding to their try scoring tallies. Bro, no way I'm tackling that. Says Ian Foster, 17 minutes to go, says Jimbo. And all the changes have slowed Ireland down a bit, says Brian. That kick is going over now. 16 minutes remaining. At line-out time, Ireland have been immense, getting themselves a majority of their own line-outs. In fact, I think they're still sitting with 100% accuracy in that department. Then Bundy Aki running flat, running hard. It was going to hurt to try and tackle him from that close to the try line. We have got there building up that score. You can't say that, says Richard. Saying about the line-outs being 100%. I can check the stat if you like. Currently 17 from 17 line-outs. Follow and like and subscribe. Says Epic FIFA, and also got to be ruthless lads. Keep pushing lads, says Eldon in there as well. Now back across. Tyke Furlong almost got bent in an awkward manner there. Craig Casey sells the dummy. Maybe ran just that little bit too far and got wrestled down by Solomoni Funaki, and because of it, Tonga have been able to get that turnover. Now the back line. Starting to work for them once more. Taumapo, the pass was forward though. And absolutely great. Bundy is on fire. And also, yes, only once and a wild stand. I've never heard anyone call it the Wiremu Webb Ellis Cup. That's a new one, says it was Ian. Just travelling a bit too far forward out of Solomoni Funaki's hands. Bundy is a joy to watch. And how much are you paying Hanson for the babysitting, Mr. Foster? Says Fluffy. And New Zealand on fire for Ireland. Says John, and you get over it with time, Ashley. Says Philip there as well. Is there a fight going on in the chat? Or not a fight, but it seems like there's some tension building. Oh, your true colours showing. Okay. I mean, I was expecting you to correct how the colour was spelled. You two, Philip, not win the World Cup, says Ashley. And great commentary, says Philip. Yeah, it seems like this is the kind of the battle that is about to happen. Ireland versus South Africa is the one that's going to cause the most tension in the world of rugby. By far. At the moment. Is that 18 tries for the Irish in 2 games? I believe it's somewhere around there. They got 6 in this game already. Craig Casey passes off to Bundy Aki, now nicely slung out wide for Ireland. Hugo Keenan goes off to James Lowe. Bumps off Malakai Fekitoa. Two men who have spent a little bit of time playing rugby in New Zealand for different sides. Now both playing internationally for their respective sides. Now that's going to be the advantage there. Trying to get out of that breakdown was Vailanu, but he's been held in. So it will become the penalty there once again. Great commentary, says Philip. And also we have got there, well, 18 tries in 2 games, go Ireland, and quarterfinal tension, says Ashley. And next Sunday over 5K, Amish joining your great commentary, says George. But yeah, we will be starting nice and early for that one. We are starting relatively early tomorrow as well for the first game of the round. That is to look through all the stats to do with this Rugby World Cup up till this point. We have got there Philip insulted a country that actually gets out or gets to see the sun, says Gareth. And also Irish person or Irish first. Get past the quarters, please. And Bundy Aki is a Samoan playing for Ireland. Am I right, Amish? Says Peter Stowers. I know that he has got origins of other countries, but he is eligible to play for Ireland. And ever since joining the Irish team has been able to have a real impact throughout his long career. Now the rolling ball again for Ireland here. 13 minutes remaining on the clock here. Rob Herring does decide to pass this one off. Here comes a Bundy Aki again. Short ball off to Robbie Henshaw. Perhaps that could be the combination that they look at in the future. Mac Hansen with a step. Gets that a little bit closer. Now Craig Casey going to the short side, tries to pick and go by himself. Lined up by Solomon Ikata. Now to the right again. Oh, that's got to be close to the penalty against Sam Lowsey. Now Ty Furlong getting just that little bit more towards the goalpost. Maniaki thought about the passing option, instead straightens with his pick and go. Henderson moving within now 3 metres of the line. Craig Casey sells the dummy. He wants a try himself. I feel like he wants to prove a lot of people wrong. I know that he was talked about quite a bit throughout the week of him being selected. But once again, not quite able to get over that try line. Instead now Rob Herring trying to do the exact same thing with the pierce around the side. Henderson, no, not quite, onto his back again. This is good defence from Tonga at this point, but how long can they hold? Craig Casey, short ball, Bundyaki, another try. That's his 4th now, ladies and gentlemen, in this Rugby World Cup competition. He is on fire at inside centre. Everyone else now going to be playing catch-up. We've got there, I remember Hot Chocolate, are you sexy thing? Says Peter, relentless, says Eldon. And also we have got there, done great on the lineouts, all-round play, way better tonight, says Dennis. Yeah, managing to win themselves about 18 from 18 lineouts. Henderson, he was extremely close a couple times. Everyone needs to chill the F out, says David. I don't know, a short ball bad, Big Bad Bundy, says Ian Foster. And also just keep swimming, says Richard. And now, with 10 minutes remaining, this is when the scoreline starts to get a lot more one-sided, that is for sure. Can there be an Ireland-France final, says Stephen? Technically, there can be. Like, they can actually find each other in the final. They can't play each other in the semis, though. Same can be said about South Africa, New Zealand, all those sides. They can't all play each other in the semis, but they can either play in the quarters or the final. As the 2 options, well done Ireland, point-wise, very impressive, says George. And Bundy Akin needs to play for Samoa already, says the New Age. Do you think Box and the Irish want to avoid France in the quarterfinals, says Anoy? I think that both of these sides, they won't so much be looking at who they'll end up playing in the quarterfinals. They'll just be concentrated at this point to getting to the quarterfinals. Because all it takes is one big upset and all of a sudden things can get turned on their head. You can end up maybe facing a completely different side. So you don't want to get yourself mentally prepared to play someone to then have to go into it playing someone else. A little bit similar to what you see in combat sports when someone pulls out late. They bring in the new opponent as the last minute replacement. You've already trained for one team or one person and then you have to try and adjust to the new one. So you're better off not doing that training for the first team so you are ready to go for the second. But of course they will still be training very hard throughout this Rugby World Cup. Looks like Bundy Aki might have a little bit of a leg injury here. Looks like he's going to continue though. He wants to get the hat trick, the first one of the Rugby World Cup competition. Bundy Aki will be a star of this World Cup and they'll know who they can face in the quarters. They'll be taking it game by game for sure, says Ian Foster. We've got Hundre on his way, says Ashley. And also there was a poll in 2022 in South Africa asking people if they would prefer to be Irish. 100% said yes. I doubt that is the case, Philip. Unless they only asked like the 2 people who were visiting from Ireland. And of course they would have said yes. Now Sanatane Takalua. And the ball in again here. Trying to whip it back out of the scrum. Now quick hands for Samoa Mapo. Lined up early by Hugo Keenan, who was able to get him around the bootlaces, I should say. Are you Irish, says Chihiro? I am not, no. Now Takalua. Passing back across again to this left-hand side. William Arvilli drops it down onto the boot. I've never heard of Irish, heard of Ireland, says David. Another great try. And I just shifted to the parallel universe where Ireland wins the World Cup, says Rocket 9. Decent kick. Downfield from James Lowe. Come on, lads, we are human, says Rudy. And also Ireland is a poor man's America, says Cool Story, bro. Well, I guess the benefit they've got there is that at least Ireland made the World Cup. Sorry, that's quite harsh, and I think you said that you were quite emotional when USA missed out. Might even score a few more. Tonga tried their best, says Dennis. Now they have got themselves another line out, this time Sam Molly. Nicely claimed at the back. Oh, it's an awkward landing for Sam Lowsey, I think it was. Now Takalua again. And back across. Funaki hitting it up. The moment for Tonga, they just haven't really got that attacking break that they need. Nice pass from Peter Ake, Finianisi. That was almost it, but it does end up going into touch. We have got there, if Tonga, Samoa, and Fiji had a team, the little islands would win, says Stephen. And also, we have got Ireland will win. Impossible for Tonga to go up, says Chihiro. Exactly right. They have got themselves the points differential in their favour as well. It's just that question of how much points differential will they have at the end of this game. And while Tonga won a line out, says Grant. And most Kiwi are from Ireland and Scottish. Was descendant. And I imagine being in an Irish pub next week wearing Springbok colours. Says Dan, are we all very passionate about our teams? In the end, yes, we are all human. Says George. And Box can smash Ireland like Khabib smashed McGregor. I mean, that would be a good example if Khabib was South African. But I get your analogy. It was close. And everyone here enjoying seeing Ireland win here, says Philip. And also, we've got there in Africa, we Eaton and Bry Elias for fun or for free, says Rudy. That's going to be another Irish scrum penalty. You'd be most welcome, Stan, and I prefer the Anisi from North Harbour over Finney Anisi. So is that Lotu Anisi, the other Anisi brother? Ben Tame Funa looks disappointed not to be out there. Baniaki should play for Samoa, says Coco Nutty. And also we have got there North Harbour Anisi for the All Blacks 2024. You can hear the Irish fans in attendance singing, enjoying what their side has been able to do. We see there. I think that was Johnny Sexton in the middle of the table. The Last Supper, I think that was. We have got there, our Box going to have a cricket score tomorrow, says Ashley, against the Romanians. We will be covering that game on the channel as well, though, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Casey now goes off to Hugo Keenan, one more short side. Out to Mac Hansen, who's gone for the little chip in behind. Misread by Finney Anisi, does end up going through him. Takalua does have to clean up, but Ireland putting pressure on in the breakdown. 5 minutes remaining. Taumapo trying to go through his opposite number there, Mac Hansen. Been able to shut him down. Dempsey is Irish, says Philip. And also we have got there, let's see, the Springs against France or Ireland. Says Stephen, well, they do get to play up against Ireland next week. And then France, the earliest they can face them is the quarterfinals. We have got there, he's not joking, he's a troll, says Jimbo. And 3 cheers for Ireland, everyone, says Philip. And also can make through 59. I think that they'll have a decent chance of getting one last try in this game, mainly because I believe Tonga won't want to kick this ball out at the end of the game. They'll want to keep on playing, try and sneak themselves one last try before the full-time whistle. I won't mention anyone who is new to the channel. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated you all being here for this matchup. And we've got 3 more taking place tomorrow. Romania taking on the South Africans. Fiji versus Australia. That will be a massive game. And then alongside that, there is one last game between Japan and England that we are also going to be covering. Well, I can stay so long, or we can say so long, well done to Ireland, says Starboy. And also, if Ireland wins the World Cup, even alien in the universe, or every alien in the universe will come to see Earth, says Rocket9. After game, off to bed, 7 tomorrow in Port Elizabeth. A big wave's predicted, says Gary, so do enjoy, stay safe. Looks like a bit of strapping going on to the knee of Sam Molly. So we sit currently with only the 5 minutes remaining. Thanks again, Hamish. See his time for SSS. And please play 1 second of Ikale. I do not know that. I know you said it was something that was French, but I still do not know it. And Dempsey is a Yank and make peace is English. Come on. Says Eric J. and good game Ireland. Says Trio in the thumbnail, is he Tongan playing for Ireland? No, that is Bundyaki, a man who scored 4 tries already in this Rugby World Cup, 2 in both of the opening games. And now it's that big question mark of can he be the first man who gets himself a hat-trick in this Rugby World Cup. It's going to be Rob Herring. Throwing that ball in. Omani misses the line out. That is the first unsuccessful line out there for the Irish in this game. And it's taken 76 minutes before they did make that mistake. Thanks so much again. Great commentary, says George. I'm going fishing, says Marley there. And also great to be Irish, John says. Philip now kicked him behind from Piraki. A little bit of a nothing kick though. It does go straight to the Irish player who now, I believe, has got the 50-22. Nice bit of work. Placement of the kick was ideal. And they love the Irish women. That's why they all immigrate there. Claim refugee status. And the Irish need Samoans to play for them. Says Tirok. I mean, he's one player in this Irish side. You should see the academies at the moment coming out of Ireland. We're looking in 5 years' time, there's going to be some absolutely phenomenal players, more phenomenal players, making their way up through the rankings. A little bit similar to France in terms of their under-20 system is really strong. I look forward to seeing those future stars make their way onto the international scene. And now a little kicking behind from I think that's Sione Havili Talatui. I'm not sure why he's kicking the ball. In fact, I don't know why he doesn't kick more often. That was a decent kick down towards halfway. Sounds Irish to me. Says Eric, and 16 points against the best team in the world. Tonga should be proud, says Brian, and Ireland needs Samoan to win it for them, says Kokonati. And also would definitely visit Ireland someday, says Starboy. And Mike Clancy, great coverage, buddy. You're a class act. Come on, the boys in green, says Mike there as well. But thank you very much for tuning in, mate. Rob Herring, throwing it in, nicely taken. On the halfway line by Ian Henderson, now shifting it to the left. Bundyaki, loop around play from Byrne. Now opening up Mac Hansen with a bit of space. Piraki trying to catch him, it wasn't quite able to be quick enough. James Lowe now moves into the 22. Tamapo looking for the turnover and the breakdown. Unsuccessful though. And Ireland still on the attack. Ian Henderson. The next man has been tackled. I believe that is going to be a tackle off the ball advantage. Ross Byrne kicking it in behind. Sits up for Salisi Piatel. This is a great commentary. Was one of you all up? I'm English, says Philip. And as we have good there, I'm not sure about the Island scrum. Tonga has walked them back a few times, says CC. Yeah, I know that Tonga did have the 50 kg advantage at the start of the scrum, so maybe that is helping them a little bit, but also just, that low centre of gravity for some of those Tongan forwards make it very tricky. Scrummage up against them. And thanks, guys. Was fun. Here's cool story, bro. I already congratulated Ireland for the good performance next Sunday. Won't be that easy, that's for sure, says George. And Ireland and France have good growth. England should copy them. And they should fight to protect their borders, says Marco. And why call it Team Ireland when they have foreigners playing for them, says Turok. I mean, I think you'll find a majority of sides around the world have at least one player who's from elsewhere, or historically they have as well. But at the end of the day, it's one player. The score's 52 points to 16. It's not going to make the difference in this game. In fact, I think we're about to see an Irishman, born and bred, about to score himself a try here. Craig Casey wants that ball off the back. This is when James Lowe scores, and then I have to be like, ugh. But it has gone into touch. And enough go to church, says Lowell Philly. I can't wait for South Africa in a good match. The Box could get lucky. And I much prefer Hamish's commentary to these Irish guys. And peace I'm out, says George. And same man, says Jimbo. In there as well. Can you hear the French national anthem once again being sung around the ground? Of course, France, they will be facing more than likely either Ireland or South Africa in the quarterfinals. And James Lowe should shave his head. That's going to be close to the try. I think he's held up though. Nope, referee says it's a try, and it is going to be none other than Dave Kilcoyne. Does go in and get himself the try near the end of the game. He looks disappointed about it, Dave Kilcoyne, but that'll be 57 points on the board now. And cheers, George. Says Jason, Tonga putting up a good fight, says Sione, and great game, fair play Ireland. Says Sharon, adding to their try-scoring tally that they already have had a huge amount of throughout this Rugby World Cup, and this will be the last kick of the day as well at 6 a.m. Good morning in the chat. Currently sitting 9 a.m. here in New Zealand. We did do once again the all-nighter covering the games, and we are doing the same tomorrow night. First game that we are covering, South Africa taking on Romania. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are on the road to 33,000. We are slowly getting there. And these guys are just try-scoring machines. Says Mr. Novel, bro. We have also got there Molo Tamasi, Talo Famalosi, says Lau Philly. I've said some of that correctly. Also 11 p.m. Here says Starboy. Now Ross Byrne. Last kick of the day. 25 seconds remaining. Taking his time. making sure he strikes it cleanly, and that kick is successful. So that will now make the score 57 points to 16. The Irish getting themselves the victory over Tonga here. Are you better than them guys on Irish TV? Well done, mate. Thanks. Says Dennis, thank you very much, mate. Full time. And thanks again for all your hard work. Coach says, Gus, no worries at all. Like I mentioned, 3 games back to back tomorrow. Also a preview for that match taking place between Australia and Fiji will be coming out in the near future on the channel. So be sure to check that out. And thanks so much, really, by far the best watch-along commentary over and out. You guys speaking again tomorrow. Says David, and cheers for the great commentary, lad, says Jimbo. The only team the Box respect in this World Cup is New Zealand, says Ashley, and that is something that could cost them. At the end of the day, you got to respect every opponent that you go on the field up against, because you never know when that side's going to have an absolute blinder. And then at least if you're respecting the opposition, you can learn from your mistakes and move forward going, we got beaten by the better side. You can't respect your opposition in rugby in a game that's built on respect. You're in the wrong sport. And cheers, Sione, as said. And also we have got our Shamrocks edible. I'd assume so. They're green. They'd have a bit of fibre in them, a bit of carbohydrates. I seen some sort of anti-Muslim immigration on this mod, says Mikhail. He's a bit full on today, isn't he, old Marco? And great work from Tonga despite the score. Tonga were fighting for everything. 2 games, 20 tries for Ireland. And that's again Hamish. Great commentary as usual. And Ireland, France, South Africa, the best teams. Super Hamish, Kiwi lad, says trio in there as well. And thanks Hamish, great commentary as always. We've got there, thanks for hosting, says Ken, no worries at all. I'm proud to be a Celt as well. And proud to be half Irish, never write us off, only Mongs do that. And we have got there, thanks Hamish, great commentary as always. And also the Irish flags from F. And there as well, we are hearing a song being sung in the background. I think that's Zombie by, I don't know, Cranberries. Is that the name of the band? But yeah, the crowd really belting it out, that is for sure. Every team has foreigners and some with descent from different countries, says Eldon. And the Shamrock was made famous by Glitter, I think. And cheers, mate, says Sims. Congratulations, Ireland. Good effort, Tonga. And may go for a morning jog. Wishful thinking, says Fluffy. I'll be honest, I will bring the chilali. And also, I love rugby sportsmanship. After the game, they hug and laugh. Says Marley there. And Tonga, it's a decent effort for their first game of this Rugby World Cup competition. Of course, they would have liked a few more points on the board, but still being able to score once against this up against this Irish side. For rugby as a sport, the Anglo-Saxons, etc., South Africa and the All Blacks need to lose, says Stephen. I'm a proper Celt, not Gaelic, and also I love rugby sportsmanship. And thanks Hamish off for tea, and internet knows no borders, says a Rocket 9. And thanks for hosting. Have a nice Sunday. Bye. So we have got 3 games tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We have got South Africa versus Romania, Fiji versus Australia, and then to close out the games of the Rugby World Cup for this round, it will be England versus Japan. But I do thank you all very much for tuning into this live stream. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We got plenty more videos coming up in a very, very short moment. So be sure to check that out. But thank you all very much for tuning in. And we will see you all for the next one.